You are listening to the COYFCast, brought to you by the Castleford Tigers Supporters Club, and that very Supporters Club have a very simple question for you. Do you want to win your 2027 Castleford Tigers season ticket? Well, one lucky CTSC member will do just that. The draw will be made at their Meet the Coaches event on Tuesday, the 10th of February. That is at the Round Hill Club in Castleford. To be in with a chance, become a 2026 Cast Tigers Supporters Club member before the end of January to be in that draw. So you have until the end of the week to become a member, to be in the draw to win a 2027 Castleford Tigers season ticket. Email ctsctreasurer@hotmail.com for all the details on how to join. Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. Welcome to the second COYFCast Round Table. Very, very excited for this one. As you can tell by the length of this video, by the length of this podcast, it's a meaty one. It is a meaty one. It's a little bit of a marathon you've got ahead of you, but split it into chunks. I don't expect you to sit down for 2 hours, 2.5 hours to do it all in one go, but this should be plenty of content to get your teeth into over the next few days if you break it down into little segments. Or maybe you just want to raw dog it, maybe you want to go all the way through. If you do, Godspeed to you. Very excited for this. The second of 3 roundtables we're going to be doing before the start of the Super League season. The third one in a couple of weeks' time will be the one everyone's waiting for. That will be our Super League prediction show. We'll be giving our league tables, our Man of Steel, who's going to win the trophies, how Cass are going to go generally. That is the big one, of course. But this is one we wanted to do. It was raised by Steve, part of the roundtable, a few weeks ago. It's something I've had on my radar a little bit as well. What we're going to do is we're going to go through every single Super League kit released at the time of recording. There are one or two that are going to be released a little bit close to the season, which we're not going to quite tick off. In fact, for full disclosure, I am actually recording this intro after the show has been recorded. That's why I know how long it's going to go. And Sod's Law, Toulouse actually released their away kit while we were recording, so we do not give a take on Toulouse's away kit. But apart from that, every single kit that's been released so far, we're going to give our opinion on over the next 2 hours or so. We're going to give a mark out of 10. And it gives you a chance, particularly if you're on YouTube. I highly, highly recommend, by the way, if you are currently on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts, I do recommend you save this for a time where you can watch your screen and you go to YouTube. Yeah, I'm sure you've got a decent idea what the kits look like this year, but if you watch the YouTube show, if you're watching the YouTube show now, you will be seeing our lovely faces, of course, on the round table. But as we go through each kit, you'll also see a visualization. You'll actually see the kits that we're discussing, which is obviously quite important for this show. So that is your warning. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else, or on Acast, do head over to YouTube now. COYFCast, just give it a search. It's in YouTube. It'll be a much better experience, I guarantee. But yeah, very excited. Get into it. All 30 Super League kits that have been released thus far. The 4 of us giving our takes. Few laughs in there. Plenty of insight as well. Should be a really, really fun show for you guys to enjoy. As always, I will kick off the show with a strong word and thank you for my Patreon members. Continue to support the podcast each and every week. First of all, the COYFers, Ryan, Tim, Andy, Gary, Ash, Craig, Aaron, Mark, and Derek. And the Premium COYFers, Lindsay, Alan, Connor, Aidan, Deb, Graham, Jake, Scott, Alex, Brendan, John, Lee, Matt, Rory, Craig, Paul, Alison, Andrew, Aaron, Richard, Carl, Kyle, Morgan, Ian, Jody, Katie, Kev, Steve, Darren, Ian, Caroline, Dale, Mark, Evan, Damon, Daniel, Joey, Harry, Callum, Danny, Helen, Adam, James, and Matthew. The list goes on and on. The list continues to grow. Thank you ever so much to everyone who continues to support the podcast via the Patreon. If you want to get involved with that, patreon.com/COYFcast is the place to do it. Apple are a little bit of a pain sometimes with the payments, and I see no benefit to it. So if you are going to sign up, I do recommend you do it via your browser rather than the app, because Apple can take a little bit off the top sometimes, apparently, which is pretty underhand, and I don't agree with that whatsoever. There's no benefit to anyone beyond Apple. So if you are going to sign up to the COYFCast Patreon, obviously I highly recommend you do so. But do so via your online internet browser and log in that way rather than the app. Sign up and then get the app would be the way to do it. I think if you sign up, if you become a COYFer for the price of a cup of coffee a month, essentially you are simply supporting me. You're showing your support for the podcast, and it is massively, massively appreciated. You will also get access to the COYFcast Predictor League for 2026, which I'm excited about. Just 4 questions a week. Drop in your answers, and we'll do a league table over the course of the 27 rounds, and the winner will receive a replica shirt for next season. If you are a premium COYF, if you want to get involved as a premium COYFer, that's basically like paying a pint for me. So it's like buying me a pint each month, essentially. Look at it that way. Um, for that, you get access to the Premium COYFer community chat, which I've just put a message in just now before recording, for example. There's plenty of chat, conversation in there. You get first dibs on mailbags and all that kind of stuff. And also, you can pitch ideas. You can pitch ideas in there as well, and I do read them. So if you have a great idea for a particular podcast or anything like that, kind of a theme I could go after, maybe a little challenge we could do on here, anything like that, you can pitch it on the Premium COYFer community chat, and we can work on that and we can make it happen. You also, if you are a Premium COYFer, get early access to episodes as well. Essentially, as soon as it is made, as soon as it is done, I post it on the Patreon, so you do generally get it earlier than the Thursday morning release. Think that's just about it. Thank you ever so much, everyone getting involved. A quick word from our episode sponsor now, and then we'll get into the round table. This episode of the COYFcast Round Table is sponsored by DDW Air Conditioning. They are your experts in air conditioning installation, servicing, and maintenance. A lot of people don't realize that modern air conditioning isn't just for cooling, it can also heat your space, keeping your home or business comfortable all year round. And with energy bills at an all-time high at the moment, air conditioning is one of the most efficient ways to heat and cool. In fact, it's up to 5 times more efficient than traditional central heating, with the added bonus of cooling in the summer, making it a real modern necessity. DW Air Conditioning cover the entire UK with no job too big or too small. For a free, no obligation quote, contact Dan by phone or email, and the team will be in touch. Both of those details are in the description below. DDW are keen to work with local businesses in the Five Towns area at the moment. So if you are interested, if you want to get involved with DDW Air Conditioning and the great people there, make sure you hit those emails, those phone numbers down below, and you get in contact with the guys at DDW. And even if not, social media is your friend. TikTok, Facebook, give them a follow. DDW Air Conditioning. They're providing content behind the scenes access. They're doing daily updates of what they're getting up to. So head over to Facebook, head over to TikTok, DDW Air Conditioning. Give the guys a follow. Right then, let's get into it. Let's get into it, folks. This is time for the COYFcast Roundtable, the second episode of the COYFcast Roundtable, and today we're going to be looking at kits. There is a very, very wide selection, I think it's fair to say, this year. There's some crackers, I think. There's some less cracking additions as well, I think it's fair to say, up and down the league, but I think it's a very, very interesting year for jerseys and for what all the teams are going to be wearing in 2026. So this is what this episode is going to be. We're going to run through 30, I believe, kits that have been released across Super League to this point. It is the 27th of January for context. There's a few more to be released, maybe between now and the start of the year, at least one more. But up to now, 27th of Jan, we're going to go through every single kit that is currently released in Super League. Before we get to that, though, I do also want to go around the room and introduce everyone. So, based on my screen, Steve, first and foremost, how you doing, mate? How's things?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. I'm just looking forward to getting back into the season. That kind of period, I think, between after Christmas and the start of the new Super League season for me is always the bit that drags really. So yeah, just looking forward to getting back into a weekly dose of Cast Tigers.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, this episode, I mean, you obviously mentioned it to me a few weeks ago. This is something you'd like to get into. It's been on my agenda for a while anyway. Obviously, Cast Rugby shirts on Twitter and Instagram. This is your speciality as well, isn't it? So I'm sure you're looking forward to getting your teeth into some of these.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm kind of enjoy watching the shirts released one by one, and I think what's been really interesting this year is how the clubs have released them as well. So there's kind of very much a focus, not necessarily on like traditional players stood in full kit with holding a ball. It's been very kind of casual in terms of how the clubs have tried to market and kind of release their kits. You know, players stood in jeans and the shirt and next to a car or in a bar. We've seen a few clubs release their images of players having a drink in a bar, and so I think it's been really interesting how that kind of that marketing is changing in terms of how the manufacturers and the clubs kind of try to sell their kit and present their kit as not just something that you wear on match day, but it's actually something that you wear. Well, some clubs would hope something that you wear when you're out and about in daily life as well. So I think the change in how the clubs are trying to market their kits is really interesting this year and has been pretty drastic. I think when you look through some of the stuff that's been out on socials.
Yeah, totally. I think that move to casual wear is certainly something we'll discuss throughout throughout the course of this episode for sure. Nathan, next up, mate. How's things, bud?
Very cold,
Oh,
uh,
freezing. Yeah.
very damp recently. But other than that, yeah, not too bad. Realised today that the Cass Donny game is on the same day as my mate's 30th birthday. He was a big Wakey fan, so there's a decision to be made there as to friendship or rugby, which one matters the most. But no, apart from that, I'm all good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, mate. Like you, very cold and wet this morning, thanks to whatever this storm's called. But besides that, yeah, raring to go. And yeah, I mean, the start of the season, it's really gaining now. Only 2 and a bit weeks until we're into it properly. And Graham, last but not least, how are things, bud?
Yeah, pretty good. We've been pretty busy with supporters club stuff over the last few weeks. Had a really good night last week with the new signings, which were entertaining. I've put a few clips out on socials. The couple that I haven't put out, and I'm because of a little bit of language content in it, but there were some really good little stories. And like everybody else, looking forward to getting back out there and on every week and cheering the boys on.
Absolutely, absolutely can't wait to get back down there, cheering on the lads on the 15th. It's the 15th first home game against Wigan. Okay, what I'm going to do through the magic of computers is share my screen to everyone so we can look at all of these wonderful and not so wonderful kits for 2026. We're going to go alphabetical. In the absence of Castleford, we will go to Cass last. Don't skip ahead. Keep watching, keep watching. It'll be good, I promise. But we will go over the cast three kits at the end of the podcast. But we are going to go alphabetical, should I say, besides that. So we are going to kick off with the new boys, or one of three new boys, in fact, in the Bradford Bulls, back in the league for the first time in over a decade. And they've kicked it off with this Elgren number. Two kits released so far from Bradford, a home and an away. Maybe a third coming, maybe Magic Weekend shirt, we will see. But for now, a home and away is with us. I'll start with you, Steve, actually, because this is one I don't actually have the launch pictures for most of these. It is generally the retail picture, so we can get a full glimpse of the kit. But actually, the picture that Bradford have online is this one. It is actually the social launch pic. Very much what you were saying, really, kind of putting them in this kind of environment, isn't it? Actually, not a bad launch, I would say, from Bradford, first and foremost.
No, I think it looked pretty good. There was a few extra ones as well, with players sat around the table, and I think with some supporters in as well,
Yeah.
which again something you've seen coming in this year more than any with supporters or ex-players, like we had. So yeah, a good launch I thought, and I like it. I think it's good. I think it's iconically Bradford. Obviously harks back to the club's heyday. Um, I think what I would say is since they've come back into the kind of space, Elgren have done some really good stuff.
Mm.
They've done some, really classic designs, and I think it's fair to say there's a bit of a difference between Elgren and some of the other manufacturers. I think Elgren are probably using the more classic, straightforward designs a little bit more than the other manufacturers. But I like this. I think it looks tidy. It's traditionally Bradford. I like the fact it's got a collar. Don't know if the plain shirts will have one, but I think, you know, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound, and if you're going to recreate something, you do it properly, and I think they have. So yeah, I like it. And quick shout out as well. I quite like the logo. I know when they revamped the logo, there was a little bit of kickback on it and a little bit of criticism. I think you probably always expect that, but I think again, it's traditional enough that it's brand recognizable, but it's also had a refresh. So yeah, full credit to Bradford on these. I think they've done a good job of A, the shirt, and B, the new logo.
Yeah, I reckon so. I'll give my take on the shirt at the end, but I think on the logo, because obviously it's a big one, big year for rebrands. Obviously, we do us doing ours, and there's a couple of us kind of dotted around, Toulouse, etc. As well. I think my only concern with the Bradford one was the grey on the black with the actual bull. How that looks from a decent distance, I'm not too sure. To be fair, kind of look at the image I've got on screen. You'll have on screen the viewer as well of the kit. Doesn't look too bad. To be fair, you can just about make it out. I think obviously it's a quite iconic shape as well. I like what they've done with the shield. I think it's the old Bradford Northern shield, isn't it? Again, which I think is quite a nice touch. Yeah, as rebrands go, like I say, it got stick. Show me a rebrand that doesn't. Pretty decent job. Pretty decent job ultimately. Graham, this rebrand, this kit, whichever you'd like to talk about. What do you reckon? It is a pretty classic design from Elgren, as Steve said, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, you know, being the most senior member of the round table, in age way, anyway. I remember, you know, Mike. I grew up watching Bradford in a white shirt with red, amber, and black hoops. But this screams of like 2000 and whatever it was, and you know, I half expected to see Michael Withers on the photo, because it just reminds me of that, you know, that sort of, as Steve said, the heyday of Bradford, in the sort of like early 2000s. Yeah, like the design. I think it's you know, it's just had a little bit of a modern touch up to what was, you know, a classic Bradford design. I like it. I think they've
Yeah.
done a good job with it.
Yeah, totally. 2003, I think, off the top of my head, is the year they've gone for. Yeah, Nathan, I mean, they're not going to have Leslie Varnicolo and Sean Harpy going down the wing in the centre, thankfully, this year, Bradford. So it's not going to look quite the same. But yeah, there's obviously a couple of kits this year that are sort of quote unquote remakes of classic kits. And yeah, it's a pretty strong effort, isn't it? I think you'd agree.
Yeah, I think it's like I say, if you stick whether it's Skylark or JCT 600 at sponsor, you can pass it as the
Yeah.
early 2000s kit. Although I am happier that we're defending against Jade Knockenbaugh rather than Barnacola this year. But yeah, I think, like I say, they've gone for a bit of a retro throwback kit to the glory days, and you've got to say they've probably nailed it in that regard. I do think the colour palette for their kit is one where you can probably have some quite nice shirts, just amber, black, white, and red, fairly go well together in most combinations. So for the badge, I'm kind of so on the new badge. I mean, to say they've got 4 stars for a club that were made in 2017. I saw that argument that Steve were having on Twitter, and I did chuckle from afar, because I know what Bradford fans are like getting involved in Twitter spats. I stayed out of it, but I did laugh. Yeah, like I say, it could be a lot worse. It's smart enough to pass for new badge, and I think it's like ours. It makes it a bit more marketable, where you can just use the bull for t-shirts and hats and whatever have you. But yeah, the kit itself, it's a fairly solid number.
Yeah, totally. I'm assuming it's for like top four finishes since 2017. I don't know. I'm guessing that's what the stars are for. It can't be for anything else that I can think of. Yeah. I mean, Salford have done it as well, haven't they? On their crest, that's technically a brand new club. I get it, but yeah, it's interesting to put it on there. It's interesting to put it on there, and no one at the Rugby League seems to want to talk about the fact that it's actually a brand new club. But never
Yeah.
mind, never
I
mind.
think Gav Wilson on Twitter managed to trigger the whole Bradford fan base, and the whole Bradford club by the look of it, because he kind of, I think Super League put out some images around Bradford and similar ones for York, and of course they treated them very differently in terms of history and when those clubs were formed. So Gav Wilson had a little bit of he questioned it, and I think that was fair enough. But then I think 24 hours later, Bradford were announcing that all their heritage players could come for free to the next game. It kind of seemed to have triggered all their fans on social media and the club itself, which maybe the club were always planning on doing that, and it was just a coincidence. But yeah, there's been some interesting discussions, and of course now Bradford are back, or not back, as you might argue. Their fans are having to kind of now put up a little bit, aren't they? Because certainly there's a few prominent voices on social media who have been quite happy sniping at Super League clubs whilst they've been playing in the Championship. And now they're going to have to kind of walk the walk rather than just talk the talk. So it'll be an interesting season, I think, on that social media space with certain Bradford voices. Now perhaps not being able to snipe quite as much when their team are maybe doing as well.
All right.
I better see some big gates at Oddsall this year. That's what I've got to say.
Well, there were 10k at Edinley one day. Announced 6, but some people saying there were 10k.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is the kit special. Tune in a couple of weeks when we do our previews for the year.
I could get into trouble for what I think the 4-star.
Yeah, there might be some redacted bits in the third episode of the round table in a couple of weeks' time when we do our Super League preview. But yeah, watch your space for that one. Before we go into the away kit, then we're going to do a mark out of 10 for all these kits. So I'll kick off. I think this is really strong. I think it's really strong, to be fair. I love a classic design. I love a collar. It will be interesting, as you say, Steve. I don't think, obviously, we don't really know what Elgren do when it comes to collars, and will they make a non-collar edition for the playing version? Obviously, Oxen do, and we'll get to that later on. But yeah, as it is, I think it's cracking, to be fair. I think this is a solid 8 out of 10, I would probably say. Maybe even an 8.5. I might go 8.5 out of 10. I really like this. Steve, what'll be your mark?
Yeah, I went with 8. I'm a little bit of those rectangular sponsors on the chest, so I can't see what the sponsor is. But there's a white block on the chest on one side, and then there's 2 black blocks above it on each side. And I think that is just a little bit of a shame. And maybe their sponsor integration of those kind of chest and upper shoulder sponsors could have been a bit better. So 8 for me, though, because I think the design's great. Just that bit of sponsor integration lets them down a bit.
Yeah, totally. Graham?
Yeah, solid 8 for me as well. I think, as I say, they've done a really good job.
Totally agree. Nathan?
I'm going to go 7.5 just to be awkward, but I've realised when they played Donny, the photos from the kit, they've actually got the collar on the playing shirts.
Oh, do they? Right, okay.
So I'll follow the crowd and I'll say 8 as well, begrudgingly.
Yeah, as much as it's not going to help them when they're getting dragged into touch, I do rate the fact that they're going for a collar. I do respect that. All right, way too much time spent on the Bradford home shirt for this year, so we're going to go to Bradford's away shirt, and this is the best picture I can find of it at this point. This is from their website when you go to buy it. Sadly, there's not a retail kind of image there for it, but strong again. I've got to say, I think they've got 2 pretty strong kits this year, as they should, I guess, coming in, trying to make an impact in 2026, coming back or coming into the league, whichever way you want to look at it. Yeah, it's Romantica, isn't it? That sponsor on the chest, Steve, as you mentioned. I think if that was a little bit better integrated, this would be absolutely bang on. It's very, very Penrith, is what I'd say. Obviously, it's the Bradford colours. I can see the inspiration for it, though, very, very clearly. Not necessarily bad things. I think Penrith have had some of the best kits in rugby league over the last few years, so I can't knock it too much. I like it. It is pretty clean. I'm not going to go quite as high as the home kit, but I would probably go... I'd probably go 7.5 for this one. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit less generous towards the Penrith rip-off, if I'm honest. I think using your own club's older designs, yeah, great sometimes. Ripping off another club, not so keen. So I'm a little bit less favourable towards the Penrith kind of rip-off. However, yeah, it's tidy enough. Little bit too busy on the sponsor, maybe. That front sponsor, you've got the big font, and is there really any need for that little font underneath it, or is it a little bit detracting? Not as big as a fan of this one as I am the home, but kind of I'd be going like 6-ish on a rating.
Yeah, cool. Graham?
I exactly like everybody is sort of saying it's very Penrith-esque, but home shirt white, away shirt black. It don't come much more of a contrast. I think the design looks fairly tidy, so I think the Bradford on the whole and Eldon have done a good job, and I'd give it a 7.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how you mentioned that the black and the white. They've gone very, very classic. I would imagine there'd be a third kit at some point from Bradford. It'd be interesting to see what they do with the third kit. Obviously, they want to make a big song and dance on Magic Weekend. You'd imagine going against Leeds, and ticket sales look great for Magic Weekend, by the way, based on what Super League have released today. I think 49,000 or something already sold, which is great. So it'd be interesting to see what Bradford go with the third kit actually, and see if they go a little bit more out there, seeing as they've got two quite classic, basic-ish designs. But I think they're pretty solid. Nathan, final point on Bradford's kits for 2026.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with Steve. My first thought was that was very Penrith, which you said straight away. My next thought was it's very sponsor heavy, and especially like the main sponsor is just really big and bulky for the shirt, which I think sort of takes away from it. So yeah, I'd probably say 6, about fair. It's just very busy.
Yeah, as you said earlier, it's not quite JCT 600, is it? I think you whack that on
No,
there, all of a sudden it elevates it. But just one of those things. Yeah, all fair points, I think. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on to the next club in the list, and that is a team that traditionally do very, very well in this regard. I think generally speaking, over the last, the 20 years they've been around in Super League, they've had some absolutely cracking kits. That is the Catalans Dragons. Catalan have just been very quiet generally, I've noticed, over the last 3 months. The people have made the point of that as well. There's just not been a lot kind of coming out of Catalans, just kind of going about the business, brand new team pretty much in 2026 as well. We'll talk about it in a couple of weeks' time, but I think that there's some similarities to what we've done, to be fair, in terms of the rebuild, in terms of the squad. Been pretty quiet out there, but they did release these kits pre-Christmas a few weeks ago. I'll go a different order this time, just so we can all kind of have a stab at having the first go. Graham, I'll come to you first. Catalan's home kit. What do you reckon?
I quite like it. I'm not. I think I'd have liked to have seen the navy in with the V's rather than on the shoulder panel, but
Mm.
color schemes work. It's bright, it's vibrant. We expect to see plenty of color from Catalan kits, and I think they've done a reasonably good job on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a take on their very first Super League kit, isn't it? I believe when they came
Yeah.
in 2006, which I think that's where the Navy kind of comes in. Because obviously the Navy's not they don't use the Navy very often in the last few years. I must admit, when I first saw this one, it was with the kind of launch image, which I think they launched both at the same time. I really wasn't struck, to be fair. I really wasn't a fan of it. I thought it looked a bit strange. On this image you can see on your screen now, it's really kind of grown on me. I actually quite like it, to be fair. I think it actually could look pretty cool.
The
I
first
also really like the sponsor in this one, to be fair. I just think I don't know, it does something for me.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I thought it was black
Yeah,
across the shoulders, but obviously, once you see it properly, it's clearly navy. But no, I think they always do good kits, don't they? Let's face it, they've had some cracking kits over the years.
yeah. Generally speaking, yeah. I mean, so Nathan, I think obviously the standard's high, isn't it? The standard's high when it comes to Catalan. So how do you kind of regard this one as their effort?
I think it's a belter, absolute belter. I think whoever's in charge of Catalan's kits is well worth the wage every single year. Like I say, it's a take on the first kit. I like that it's like we were saying about Bradford practically remaking the 2001 kit. They've obviously used an example from 2006 and said this, but different. Because I just think everything works on it. I think Catalans are good at. You almost expect them to have a bit of a quirky shirt, almost, which is why sometimes when designs are a bit out there, they do get a pass.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm a big fan. You just need Stacey Jones in it, or Julian Rinaldi, or Lauren Fresinu, and that's your promotional picture. But yeah, I think it's a cracking shirt.
Yeah, Clint Greenshield or something like that. One of those old schoolers. I love it. Yeah, yeah, it's really, really growing on me this one. I must admit. Steve, finally on the Catalan's home shirt.
Yeah, very similar. Maybe don't rate it quite as highly. There's a couple of bits I'm not so sure on, like that bit of color on the side panel.
Mm,
I'm not sure. I think you either need to do more or not do it.
mm,
I think
I know what
what
you
they've
mean. Yeah.
got is a little bit neither here nor there. So I'm not keen on that bit of color on the side panel, and maybe the color I'd have had the yellow coming all the way to the front. I think when you wear that, it might look a little bit odd that it cuts off kind of halfway around your neck. But we've not seen it on field yet. It might look great, but I think I'd have been tempted to bring that to the front. But other than that, yeah, it's a really good design.
Yeah, yeah, very, very solid, I think. I will go. I'm cautious not going too high because I know there is some absolute belters coming up. I think this is another 7.5 for me because, like I said, I really wasn't struck to start with. And then it's really kind of grown in. I also like the 20 year. It's quite subtle, isn't it? I think under the badge as well. I think I quite like what they've done just with a little 20 year motif underneath the badge. I think that's not too out there, but just a little bit, a nice little nod. I like that it's a retro take. So another 7.5. I put this at least on par with the Bradford one in my eyes, which I rated quite highly. So I'd go 7.5 for this. Graham, what's your rating for Catalan's home kit?
I've got 7.5 as well.
Yeah, solid, solid, solid stuff. Nathan,
I'll a solid 8 for me.
right, big fan of it. Steve,
I'm probably on a 7. I'm just because of those bits and pieces I think they could have done.
yeah, makes sense. Solid start, really, 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 really solid start. I think with the first few kits we've seen. That brings us to Catalan's away kit for this year. Literally the best image I can find of this. There's not too much about there. It's very difficult to buy, I think, as well. I actually just tried to find like the retail for this, and it's nigh impossible to buy. I think, but this is the away strip. It's very Catalans. I mean, obviously, it's the red, it's the gold, or the blood and gold, isn't it? I think is officially the colours for Catalans. Obviously, reflects the Catalan flag. What do you reckon, Graham?
Again, I like it. It's sometimes you look at a kit and you can straight away you know which club it is,
Hmm.
and this for me just screams Catalan, either
Yeah.
that or Melchester Rovers. But
Absolutely.
again, I'm showing my age there, aren't I, mate?
Distinctive.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely
it just
distinctive.
screams Catalan for me. That
Yeah. On McDonald's, maybe. Nathan, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's either if you had to guess as a rugby fan, you were guessing it's either Catalans or Sheffield. But you'd probably pump with Catalans. I think, like I say, it's smart. It's you know where they've got the colour scheme from. It's not too flashy. It's pretty simple, but again, it's a really, really smart shirt.
Yeah, I think this would be one to see on field as well. I'm assuming it's all red. I'm assuming they're going mono with the shorts and the socks, although I don't know for sure. It could be
Yeah,
white. It could be white, I suppose.
the image of like one of the proposed promotional photos, I think the shorts are red as well, so
Right.
it's like an all red kit. So
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
smart.
That could look very good on. Could look very good on the field, I reckon. Steve, Catalan's away.
I'm a bit less generous on this one. Doesn't really do it for me. I'm not convinced by having one solid chevron and then one broken chevron.
Mm.
To me, it's a little bit of a mix of a design that I'm not really that keen on. And then obviously you've got that kind of stripe that's like the chevron on the cuffs of the sleeves, but then you've got the solid line on the collar. For me, it just doesn't quite go together. It looks like two designs on the same shirt to me. So I'm not as keen on this one.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I must admit, I'm way less keen on this one than I am the home kit. I think the home kit's a lot stronger. I do like some of the points that they made. I do like that it is very distinct to the Catalans. I think they've tried with the sponsor integration at least. They've made it all white on this, which is always kind of bonus points. Yeah, I agree. The more you look at the collar, the more it looks a bit strange, doesn't it? It really doesn't this. So I'm probably going to be a little bit harsh by my rating, but I'm probably going to go about 6.5. I think between 6.5 and 7, but I know what's coming up, so I'm going to go 6.5. I think with this, I just don't want to go too high too early, because one, there's some stinkers, but there's also some pretty nice ones as well. So I'm wary going too high. So I will be harsh, and I'll go 6.5 on this. Graham, what do you think?
yeah, pretty steady 7 for me.
Yeah, nice one. Nathan
Yeah, another 7.
and Steve.
Probably like 5.5 for me. Just
Ooh,
doesn't do it for me.
ooh, biting from Steve. I like it. I
What the
like it.
hell?
Let's be harsh. Let's won't be invited to Perpignan anytime soon. Brilliant. Right, Huddersfield. We go across to West Yorkshire to the Huddersfield Giants and their home kit for 2026, which I've really been in two minds about. Really, really been in two minds about this one. We'll start with you, Nathan, this time. Yeah, I can't wait up. I can't wait up. What do you reckon?
I think I said to you at the time it came out, it'd be a really good away shirt.
Yeah. Mm,
Just looking at some of the pattern, it's like they either ran out of the maroon colour or they didn't want to go white all the way down. It's like they couldn't decide which way to go with it, so they just kind of stuck it middle and stuck some amber hoops around it. It's a bit meh, which don't want to upset any Huddersfield fans, but it probably sums up how they've been over the last 18, 24 months. Yeah, it doesn't really strike me as anything.
yeah, I think I totally get that. I totally get that. And don't get me wrong, this might be the case for a bunch of other kits for this example I'm going to give, but I think you take the sponsors off that, it just looks like a training kit or a little training shirt or something for me. It's just a little bit, and I know there's some simple, quite very basic kits coming up as well, but I just think I don't know. It's just lacking something. I do take your point on away kit though. I think for me personally, there's way too much white on it for it to be a proper Huddersfield home shirt.
It
The
weirdly
colour
looks like someone tried to do a copyright-free version of a Brisbane Broncos kit. Like they can't,
I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to unsee that now.
they
Yeah,
couldn't use any branding. They couldn't use sponsors or anything like that. So it's just he has three colours on a shirt, and it's a bit,
yeah,
yes, not special.
yeah. It's like Pez, isn't it? It's like the Brisbane Horses or whatever.
Yeah,
It's not, yeah, yeah. It's a little bit. Yeah. I've been on the fence a little bit. I don't. The thing is, I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's an awful design or anything like that. I don't think it absolutely reeks like some of the others we're gonna look at. But it's just a bit meh. Steve, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think there's some good bits to it. So I quite like the fact that the sponsors aren't cutting across any of the design.
Hmm.
So when you look at and the club crest and the auction crest, quite like the fact it doesn't cut across any of the design. And then the main sponsor obviously is just on that solid claret background. Obviously you've got the blue on the sponsor, which I think is a little bit of an issue. I know they pay their money, but you've then got this bit of blue on a white claret and gold shirt, and it does detract from it as much as they pay their money. We're looking at it from a design point of view, not a revenue point of view. So there is that issue on there. But I do like the fact that it's simple and that the sponsors and the club crest are all not cutting across any of the design. So I'm probably a little bit more generous towards this than Nathan was, but not much.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. I'll give it that.
Clean.
It certainly is pretty clean. Graham, what do you reckon?
From a design perspective, I actually don't mind it. But and it's a big but. Huddersfield play in claret and gold and not white. And to me that's just it's just not an Huddersfield shirt. If the top if it were reversed and the top bit was claret and the bottom was white,
Yeah,
I could I could probably take it a little bit, accept it a little bit more. But I take the point that it does look like a laser shirt or cut stroke training shirt. Um, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it's not for me. It's yeah, I just think they could have literally gone all claret with the gold bands,
yeah,
and it'd have looked a lot smarter, and it would have looked like Huddersfield.
yeah.
And I take the point. Away shirt, yeah, it would be.
Great stuff. Yeah, I completely agree. Let's go through the ranking or the gradings then. I'm gonna go. Like I said, I just think it's a little bit half-assed. It's gonna be my harshest one so far. I'm just gonna go for a five. I think it's just slap bang in the middle. I think it's kind of there. It's not bad. It's not horrible. It's just it don't really do anything for me to be honest. Nathan, what's your mark out of 10?
I do apologise saying maroon and amber it is claret and gold, so I'll apologise for that. But yeah, it's almost like someone was trying to explain the kit, and then someone said, "And then what?" And then someone said, nothing. I think 5's probably a fair rating for it.
Yeah. Steve?
6.5.
Understandable. Yeah, for the
Yeah,
points
it's
you
nice and
made.
clean. It's clean. It's fine. It's got some good stuff about it.
Yeah. And Graham?
I scored it 5 as well.
5 as well, which brings us to Huddersfield Giants away kit. Do not adjust your sets. That is lilac. That is lilac. Lilac and grey ish. Um, yeah, this got a lot of comments originally when it was released, quite rightly suggesting is that the new Hull FC kit? Because it did look like they'd released a black and white kit with just like a purple-ish tint on the photo. It was really strange the way that you talked about earlier, Steve, about how teams have kind of released kits. I don't think they released this one particularly well at all. It was really kind of jarring. Really, you literally couldn't tell what color it was when they announced it. Um, it- I'll let you lead off on this one, Steve. Personally, I think it's an absolute shocker.
Yeah, it's not for me. One thing I would say is it did get people talking. And if you can get people talking about something, then your marketing's probably doing a decent job. I'm not quite sure how far that extends when a lot of the comments are negative about it. I don't think it's necessarily true that all publicity is good publicity. But it did get people talking. It reminds me, do you remember that image that went around a few years ago about what
You said
colour
the
is
dress,
this
aren't you?
dress?
Yeah.
Yeah. What
I
colour
was
is this
thinking the
dress?
same thing. Yeah.
I have no idea what colour it is. Is it green, purple, lilac? So yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me. It's if you're gonna move away from a traditional shirt where it's not obviously that club, you've got to go way more kind of adventurous with your design. Because as you say, there's another club out there that's got a very similar design to this, and that's what it's going to get compared to. In the flesh, it might look different, and I do wonder what it'll look like under floodlights and whether that will change people's opinions on it because it's one of those colours that could just look very different under lights. That'll be interesting to see. And it's also interesting to see that the blues come off it. So if they can get the blue off it for
Yeah,
the
I was just
away
gonna say,
shirt,
yeah.
why can't they get the blue off it for the home shirt? So yeah, I mean the colours are not for me and they're not Huddersfield. And I think if you're going to go away from your club colours, you have to then go with a design that can't be so closely associated with another club.
Yeah, I think I would agree with all those sentiments. Graham, what's your thoughts on Huddersfield's away?
Probably can't repeat them. No, seriously, I just think the colours are awful. The images that they put out, as you're saying, of sometimes it looks from some photos look green, some look grey, some look black. I just think whoever signed this off probably needs sacking.
So how you really feel, Graham? So how you
Yeah,
really feel?
I've actually scored when we get to the scoring. I've actually scored it a little bit generous just based on some of the others that's to come.
Yeah, I'm going to say, as bad as this might be, brace yourself. Actually, I think my favourite part of the release of this, regardless of the colours and the way it was coloured a bit strangely, Sam Household is just glazed over. Completely glazed. There's just no emotion on that poor lad whatsoever, just sat there in this
He's
kit.
probably thinking, "What the hell have they put me in?"
It did make me chuckle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and look at Huddersfield social feed. It is quite funny to see Sam also just staring forwards. Just get me out of here. Nathan, what do you reckon?
I think I've seen it in Auction Shop, and it's not as bad as it looks in this photo.
Hmm.
In the same way that breaking one leg isn't as bad as breaking both legs. Um, but yeah, it's just a bit naff. It's like someone's tried to copy a QPR shirt, but the photo they got were in black and white, and they didn't think to look at what the actual color was. Like I say, it's good that they've got the blue off the Bondit sponsor and the badge matches the colors of the shirt. That's cool. But when they're the two positives from your shirt, you are struggling a bit. But yeah, I think Huddersfield need to give whoever designed Catalan's home shirt a call and get a few tips.
Yeah,
But it does
yeah,
make me proud that our shirts are made by the same company and we've got the shirts we've got. I am quite happy with that.
Yeah, totally. We'll get onto them at the end. I think it's fair to say we'll be relatively positive about those particular auction numbers. Yeah, I think it's pretty unanimous. Not huge fans of this one. Just missed the mark, I think, on Huddersfield. They usually are a bit of a third kit merchant at Huddersfield. They usually will bring out a third strip, so it'll be interesting to see what they come up with there. I would imagine it's going to have to be something pretty bold because they've got something. They've got two. I haven't got a lot really in the home and the way for me, so it'll be interesting when the third comes out. In terms of marks out of 10, I went 5 last time, so I'm gonna have to go below that. I think it's 3.5, maybe. I'm just gonna go 3.5. I can't go any higher than that. I don't think the point 0.5 is because the Bondet has not got blue on it because that would have made it even worse. It'd have been a 3 without that. I'm gonna go 3.5. Steve,
Probably a 4.
generous, very generous. Graham,
Right.
3 with Graham and Nathan.
Because I know two kits that are coming up, I'm going to go 3.5 by the skin of the teeth.
Yeah, there's just that in the back of all of our minds, isn't there? It's coming. It's coming. We go to Humberside next. We go to Hull FC and their home kit for 2026. It's funny because there's quite a lot of like throwback jerseys this year, quite a lot of kind of retro numbers going back to kind of old kits. I mean, 10 years is a period of time. It is a period of time. Fair enough. If you want to go back 10 years, fine. This one does hark back to 2016 when they won the Challenge Cup in the white kit with the V, the black V. Obviously, it is something they've kind of used over periods of time. Hull FC, it's not a brand new thing for them. I do find it interesting with Hull FC when they do go away from. I mean, they are the irregular hoops of Hull FC are iconic. It is an iconic rugby league look, so it is always interesting to me when they do move away from that and kind of brave in a sense, I suppose, when they've got something so synonymous with them. And I think obviously we won't go into the rugby side of things too much in this podcast, but I think Hull have probably got a half decent year or certainly aspirations for a decent year. So it's a little bit strange to me they've gone away from those stripes, but they have gone for their kind of secondary home design of the white with the black V. Like I say, harking back to 2016, winning the Challenge Cup. Castor, the only Castor club I think in Super League at the moment. It'd be interesting to see if we get some more in the next few years. Um, we'll start with you, Graham. What do you reckon?
As you mentioned, you think of Hull FC, you think of black and white irregular hoops, and I'll be honest, I absolutely love that design. They've tweaked it here and there so many times, but it always looks classic and classy, and it always looks Hull. When I heard it wasn't going to be black and white irregular hoops, first off, I thought, oh, I don't know what they're going to come up with, but I absolutely love that. The only negative I've got on it is the collar and the neckline. I think
Mm.
that's a bit. But I think the shirt just looks fab. I think they've done a good job with it. But as I said, that neckline's not. I don't know. I'm not convinced.
Yeah, it caught my eye, the net as well. It's an interesting one from Castor. Nathan, what do you think?
It's smart enough. The thing that always gets me about LFC shirts, and I can't remember where I saw it, but it was an LFC fan a while ago saying about the kit that's going to get released and say we only release one of 3 kits. It's either white with a black V, it's black, or it's white and black hoops. So which one is it? And they almost go in a rotation every 3 years of
Mm.
that. But I think it's smart enough. My only kind of issues is the Paragon sponsors on the collarbones are a bit strange. How one letter's in the black
Yeah.
and the rest isn't. And I don't know why my first thought was it, but the sponsor on the shirt makes it look like a warm up top rather than an actual playing shirt sponsor, if that makes any sense. It's just a bit random, but no, I think it like Graham said, it's just smart shirts. It's another color palette where you can't really go wrong with it. And I'm sure they're going to sell loads because anyway, anytime you play LFC, they're always kitted out in black and white. You can spot them a mile off. Yeah, not a bad shirt, but could be a little bit better.
Yeah, totally. I think one of my takes really is on the sponsor, and it's not their fault, really, but I think the sports event services, I mean, bin that text off. You don't that the text looks bad, so I don't have the text. If it was just kind of the SES kind of logo with the 3 diamonds,
It,
it's funny. I think they've got the potential there to kind of build that into the V as well, which obviously another team has later on, as we'll discuss. Obviously, the fact it goes to a point means they maybe could have brought the V down a little bit a little bit stronger and not have kind of the point at the bottom. But I think the text probably rules that out, which is a bit of a shame. It's not on them. That's the company logo, I suppose, and they pay the money. But that does reduce it a little bit for me, I think.
I don't know who sports event services are, but it sounds like the people who supply stewards for gigs. And if you put this shirt in like a lime green, a luminous yellow colour, it won't look out of place on there. But yeah, I think the actual design, if you take the sponsor off, it's really, really smart.
They could have used that for their away kit, couldn't they? The line, the
Say that they
Just
did in
do high
2017.
vis
high vis
versions.
yellow.
High vis, yeah. To be fair, we'll get onto it. They have gone pretty high vis with the with the alternate kits. To be fair, LFC. Steve, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a stickler for that attention to detail and that black text in black on a black background. Why on earth nobody's spotted that? I know there'll be a number of people who've all had eyes on this, and why nobody has gone, oh, actually, we could just move this sponsor by centimetre or two, and then we won't have black on black. And I think that's a little bit lazy. Not having that attention to detail, I think, is pretty poor. I don't really like the bottom bit of the chevron, the point of the chevron. I kind of feel like they've gone chevron, but the sponsor's so thick that you don't see that continuity. Personally, I wouldn't have had that black triangle at the bottom of the chevron. I think it's a little bit confusing whether it's part of the sponsor logo or whether it's part of the design. As I say, I've not seen SES as logo before either, but I think you could be forgiven for thinking that that bottom bit of the chevron is actually part of their logo that's below the text. So for me, you either build it in a lot more clearly or you get rid of that bottom bit of the chevron, which I assume is not SES part of their logo, but it could be, I don't know. And that uncertainty is kind of my criticism of it, really. Get rid of that bottom black triangle, and I think you've got a really tidy shirt.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think it's just generally it's kind of nitpicking stuff with this one, isn't it? 'Cause it's not bad. It's not bad by any means. I think it's really, really solid. White and black, black and white. You can't really go too far wrong. I think if you were to go really badly wrong with a black and white kit, then you're probably in the wrong job. To be honest, you can't go too far wrong. It's a classic design, classic color scheme, obviously. I'm probably gonna go. I'm probably going to go 7 for this. I'm probably going to go 7. I think it's good. I think that's a decent score. It's probably the third highest I've given already. Yeah, just a few little bits and pieces, like a few tiny little bits, and you're already up to 7.5, 8 pretty quickly. Just a few little elements there, which knocks it down to a 7 for me. But a pretty solid effort from Hull FC. I'm a bit like Graham though. I think I prefer the irregular hoops, but I get why they have to go through the motions. If you do the same kit every year, no one's going to buy it. I get it. I prefer the hoops. It is what it is. So I'll go 7 out of 10. Graham.
8.
Yeah.
I like it. As I said before, I like it. But it's 8 for me.
Nathan.
I'm going to go 6.5 just purely because I do usually quite like all FC shirts and it's not as smart as some of the others that they've pumped out recently.
And Steve.
7 for me. It would be an 8, half a point off for the black on black and half a point off for the triangle at the bottom. So 7 overall.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. Speaking of high vis, they're going to throw some colours at us with the next couple of kits. This is the first team on the list that have 3 kits released at this point. So they have an alternate kit, 2 alternate kits in that fact. This first one is pink. It's definitely pink. It's got irregular hoops, which is kind of, they are in there. It has got irregular hoops with, I don't know if it's hard to tell on this image, to be fair. I don't know if they are white or just an even paler pink. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's probably a paler pink. Yeah, interesting, different sponsor as well. They have got multiple sponsors on the kits this year. Hull FC, which from a money-making point of view probably makes an awful lot of sense, although it's another bloody big logo. They love logos with diamonds in them and just huge, apparently, in Hull. So PBS are taking up quite a lot of real estate on this kit. Nathan, it's your turn to go first on this one. What do you reckon?
I quite like the colour palette. I think there's something quite bold about teams going pink. We obviously did it last year, and Hull FC aren't afraid to chuck out these kind of colours. I think from kind of a commercial point of view, they probably do quite well because sometimes they are that different that people will naturally buy them. And I think, there's probably there's the women supporters myth go to that shirt more than the home shirt purely based on colour. So I don't mind the colour. It's just the big sponsor. I don't know if it's just me, but it all seems a little bit out of centre as well, especially the text. The PBS text was a little bit out of centre. I think if they had a different, smarter sponsor, even that Paragon, if that was the main sponsor, it'd look a lot cleaner.
Mm. Yeah, I
But
think we mentioned earlier about the JCT 600, didn't we? About Bradford. Like, if there was a really kind of crisp, clear sponsor on this, they've been let down a little bit by the sponsor logos. I think it's just one of them things. There was the potential to make this a really quite smart kit. I think. I don't think it's bad by any means. Steve?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not for me. I I don't think there's enough contrast between the pink and the dirty pink.
Mm.
Dirty white. I don't know. For me, it just looks a little bit streaked. I'm not sure when you get more than a meter away from it in real life that you're actually going to see that design element anyway. The sponsor's too big. It's too wordy. I'm not even sure the sponsor's central.
Yeah, as
Um,
Dave was saying, I'm not sure.
kind
Yeah.
of, I'm looking at it like this, going, "Where's the center of that sponsor?" So I'm not, is it the bottom of the kind of squared grid? Is that the center, or is that so? For me, the sponsor's not central either. So no, it's not for me. Don't like the color. Don't like the two very, very close tones of pink. Don't like the sponsor. Too big, not central. Sorry.
Graham? No, don't have to apologise to me. Graham, if you were an early bird, is this something you'd be rocking?
No, absolutely not. I think if they didn't said that they were doing using this kit as a fundraiser for for a women's charity, or I'd probably accept it. I think the best part of it is the fact that it's got the irregular hoops in it, but nah, it's just not for me at all. Really, really sorry, all FC fans.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I think for me, I'll lead us off. I think it's yeah, I think I agree with Steve in terms of the colours. Like, obviously, gone quite it's quite a pastely pink kind of thing. I think if you're just going to go bold, go bold. Like similar to Huddersfield, really. Yeah, I think if that had been a quite a bright purple, that might have worked a little bit better. In the same sense, I maybe just want a brighter pink on this or something. I don't know. It just doesn't really pop. It's a little bit. Yeah, it's not giving me an awful lot. I think they've tried with the sponsor integration. At least they're all black. Something there. But yeah, I think they've been let down a little bit by PBS and some god awful logo graphic designers in Hull apparently because there's two bad ones across Hull kits this year. Um, I don't hate it, but probably can't give it any more than about 5.5. I think 5.5 is probably about fair. Nathan.
I'll go six. Like I said, I don't necessarily. I think it's fine. I just think it's really let down by that sponsor.
Yeah, fair. Steve.
4 for me. One of the things I didn't say was as soon as you've got punctuation like brackets on a sponsor, you've lost it. It's gone. You're putting too much on there if you're including brackets and full stops. You're way off. So yeah, 4 for me.
Yeah, PBS have got a lot to answer for, I think, on this
They
kit.
have indeed.
Graham.
Yeah, the irregular hoops salvage is an extra point for it. I'm going 4 as well. Otherwise, it would have been a 3.
Understandable. That takes us to Hull FC's neon alternate and hello PBS logo yet again. Interesting one. It's an interesting one for sure. Um, I'll let Steve lead off on this one. All I've got is it just looks a bit like a vape, and that's pretty much all I've got. Yeah, Steve, have you got anything more insightful than that?
It's training top. For
Yeah.
me, this is a training top or a warm-up top. I don't see it as a playing shirt at all. That design on the shoulders is just screams training top, leisure t-shirt. Again, you've got that big PBS sponsor. Is it blurry? Have they printed it wrong? It looks really blurred to me. The kind of main PBS letters.
Mm.
I don't know if that's part of the design but it looks to me it looks like a printing error. So no, this is a training t-shirt design in my view, with a blurred sponsor. So yeah, it's not for me. At least they've been brave, right? At least they've been brave and gone for something. I'd rather that than the last Hull shirt. I didn't think was out there enough if they were going to do something different. At least they've gone out there with something, but no, I don't think they fit the mark with this one.
Yeah, it's the kind of one I can imagine sells pretty well, regardless of how opinions on it. I would imagine some people actually absolutely love this. I think it's one of those, not go as far as Marmite kits, but I think some people would really like this. Fair point in the PBS. I think when you look at the Summit, that's a lot crisper.
Yeah.
It's a lot crisper. So yeah, there's something that, again, I think
And
it's
even
just
that text around the PBS logo, the construction brackets, Northeast brackets limited, that's really clear. And then they've got the PBS, which to me just doesn't, it looks like it's smudged. It looks like a printed
I
on.
think it's just the logo design. I actually think the logo itself probably just isn't high resolution enough, which is on probably the company as opposed to Hull. But they need to go into there and see they'll export a better they'll export a better file for them. Graham, what do you think?
Don't like it. It's literally, I just don't. As much as I really like the home shirt, I really dislike this one. Again, they've gone for that awful neckline again. Yeah, yeah. No, I just don't like it. I'll be honest.
Not fond of the kits in all this year, understandable. And Nathan,
I don't. The thing is, I'm looking at this with the sole thing of this has got to be their magic kit. This has to be their magic kit. If that's the magic kit, and like we've said, they've committed to something bold. It's like they've gone to cinema and they've ordered strawberry and blueberry slush, and then they've looked at the cup and gone, "That looks great for a kit."
it's an ice blast, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, it's yeah. I think for me, it's that bad that you've almost got to commend that it passed as many checks as it did to become a shirt. So if this is their magic shirt with maybe a sprinkling of a couple, like one or two other games, then I don't mind it as much. But it's going to be one of those where it's going to be very Marmite. In Hull, there's going to be Hull SC fans who think it's great. There's going to be some who think it's embarrassing.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree. I think gradients are really hard to get right as well. I think just generally speaking, gradients are really difficult. There's some bad examples across sports, really. And yeah, there's very few gradient kits that actually really work. I'm not going to be too cutting on this one. I'm not going to give it a 2 or anything like that. I went 5.5 for the pink one. I think the fact they're trying something different, I can see why people would like this. I'm probably going to go the same score. I'm probably going to go 5.5 with it, which is probably a little bit being nice, really, but I'll go 5.5 for this. Steve,
It's 4 for me.
Graham,
I'm ranking it alongside Huddersfield's away, and it's a 3 for me.
3 from Graham and Nathan.
I'll go 5.5. Like I say, I admire how much they've committed to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you on that one. That brings us to their near rivals, their neighbours over the river, Hull KR. This is certainly a Hull KR kit. That's something I'll say about this. The champions going into their treble winning year, defending the treble, I suppose. Honestly, I think my only real knock, and again, it's kind of not their fault. There's a lot of sponsor chat, I think, on this, but I think that sponsor is just how many bloody words do you need? If you lose the bottom line, I think, and I'm sure Honeybeck, or whatever it's called, I'm sure they've spent an awful lot of money on this, and that is one of them things. They're obviously going to want to put the whole logo in it. I get it. If you lose the bottom line there, and maybe make the band a little bit thinner, just a tad thinner, I think it's an absolute banger. It's a really, really classic rugby league design. It is very, very Hull KR. I don't have too many qualms with this one, to be honest. Graham, what do you reckon?
Yeah, distinctively Hull KR. If it didn't have any badges on, you'd know who it was. For me, yeah, you're probably right about the sponsor. It is a bit wordy. Not too keen on the robins around the bottom of the sleeve. If that could have just been a plain red cuff sort of thing. But other than that, it screams Hull KR.
Yeah, I actually quite like the Robins, I'm gonna say. I actually quite like that extra little touch, but I totally get it. I think it works either way. And Nathan?
Exactly the same as what Graham said. I think the sponsor is. It's like they've had to hit a word count with the sponsor and they've smashed it. I think the Robins would look smart on the sleeve if it was just sort of on the outer. not the Robins, the Robins, the Robins, the Robins, the Robins all the way around it. And like I say, it's just a smooth, simple shirt, which again, I'm sure they've probably sold thousands of them already.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it's probably one of the biggest sellers. I also must admit, we talked about rebrands earlier. I know Hull KRs have had theirs for 5 years, probably 4 or 5 years. Looks really good. It always looks really good. I think what they've done with their badge is very, very good. On a white kit, it looks excellent. I've got to say. Steve?
Yeah, echo the comments on sponsor. Although I like the thickness of the band, I think I would leave a thick band on there rather than have a thin one, or rather than take the band down. But certainly that last line of text off, and a little bit of similar kind of under the IRS shoulder sponsors. Who's reading that? I can see there's
Yeah.
3 words there, but it's a waste of time because nobody's reading that. It's yeah, I just take it off and just simplify that because it's too small to actually be readable. So, yeah, just a little bit of sponsor issue. Again, how much you put on that on the club, how much you put on manufacturer, how much you put on sponsor, but we're just judging it on what's being produced from the combination of club, manufacturer, sponsors. So I would remove those small letters that we can't read and get rid of a little bit of the main sponsor. But other than that, yeah, spot on Hull KR design.
Yeah, really, really good. Really, really good. I'm not a huge fan of these Oxen collars, these particular Oxen collars, to be honest. I think they've had better collars in the past, but I'm sure there's reasons for it. Yeah, obviously on this edition, whether it'll be the same on the Players Edition, I guess not, because they'll have full Betfred colours, but I like that the Betfred Super League is integrated as well in all red. Obviously, there's a bit of that around the league this year. Obviously, Cass have done it. Um, it's an 8, I think, for me. I think it's an 8. I've got little bits and pieces here and there which I'd change. I like the Robins, for example, around the cuffs, but it's a very, very Hull KR kit. And obviously, they will design this way before they won the treble, but it is a pretty perfect kit for Hull KR to go into this year, where they're going to have a lot more eyeballs on them. And I think they're wearing something very, very similar to this in Vegas, if I'm right. I think there's a few little elements they're going to add to it for the occasion, but generally speaking, this is going to be the Vegas kit as well, which we'll get onto Leeds in a bit. Absolutely the right decision for OKR, in my opinion, as well, particularly with where they're at the minute. Yeah, 8 out of 10 from me. Graham,
Same for me, 8 out of 10.
Nathan.
Um, it weirdly reminds me too much of the 2005 kit, and I don't think I want to see Byron Ford running length at field again at Blackpool. So I'll give it a 7 on flashbacks to me watching Cass lose my first final that I saw him lose.
Yeah, I can't go to Blackpool anymore. It's dead. It's dead to me. Steve.
7.5.
Yeah, pretty good marks. Pretty good marks for OKR's home kits. Now the LCD alternate from Hull Kingston Rovers. Hmm. It's quite the colour scheme, isn't it? It's quite the colour scheme. I will obviously reference the fact that they did backtrack on this, which I will commend them on. I will commend both Hull KR and Oxen on this. Originally, the shorts were the kind of yellowy colour, and it looked dreadful. It looked really, really dreadful as kind of a whole kit ensemble. They have gone back on that. It is now pretty much mono. They use the green throughout. It is markedly better, and I'm sure it'll look a lot better on the field now they've done that. Um, I'm still not personally very struck on the colour scheme, if I'm honest. It's a bold call. I do like that there's a story behind it. I'll give them that. And Hull KR are actually very, very good at that. They've done it quite a bit over the last few years. They had the Boilermakers kit a few years ago. You had the Queensland centric kit a few years before that or after that. I can't remember. Generally speaking, they're pretty good at telling a story. They had the Venn diagram one as well. So I like that element of it. I like that it's honouring the fact that LCD technology was founded in Hull. Great stuff. Design, not really for me. Well, actually, the design is fine for me. The colours, it's just. We talked about earlier about casual wear and wearing out and about. Nah, you don't go to the pub in this. Sorry. Graham, what do you think?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, the yellow looks really washed out, and it don't.
Yeah.
It's not. It don't. It looks like it's been washed and worn, washed and worn, washed and worn, and somebody should have thrown it in bin. But no, it's not for me at all. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Nathan, what do you think?
I'm sort of in two minds because I think if you get rid of the busyness of the design and just leave the color palette, I don't necessarily think it's that bad. It's just the greeny colour kind of looks a bit like someone's not quite hydrated enough before going to the toilet, is kind of the colour that I'd say it looks like. But yeah, it's just a really, like I said, you've said the reason why the kit looks like it does. It's just really, really busy for no. I think, like I say, if it's just a plain shirt, for me, it looks a lot smarter.
Mm.
Yeah, not a great effort.
Steve, what do you think?
I think what they've done here is go for something that's very different because they've gone for such a traditional home shirt. And like I think I might have said before when we've talked about shirts, if you produce 3 shirts that everybody loves, you're probably doing something wrong because you need some stuff that some people love and some people won't buy. I'd say it's impossible to produce a whole range of shirts that everybody loves. And if you're going to go so traditional for the home shirt like they have, I can see why they might choose to go bonkers for their away shirt and go different colours completely. Have as many different design features in it as you can. The sponsors in is well integrated. I don't mind it. I don't mind it on the basis that would I wear it? No, but from the point of view of have they produced a home and away shirt that will appeal to different people? Yeah, absolutely. So I have a little bit of a kind of bit of generosity towards it, just on the basis that it's so different to their home shirt, not just kind of so different in terms of contrast, but so different in terms of being so not traditional. So I have a little bit more time for it, I think, in the context of the shirts they've released overall.
Yeah, makes sense. I think context is important. I think on the design, personally, it's not for me. I think if design alone, I'm probably looking at about 5.5. I'll make it a 6. I think I like the fact they've tried to do something. I like the fact they've got a story behind it. It's not for me, but I would go 6 out of 10 because we said earlier about effort and attention to detail. There is at least effort. There's a fair bit of effort gone into this, even if it's not for my taste. There's definitely something that's gone into it. So I'll go for a 6 out of 10 for me. Graham.
I'm going to sound like sound terrible here because I'll rate it as low as the Huddersfield and the Hull one. It's a 3 from me. I just don't like it at all.
I like the takes though. I like it. I like being bold. It's good. It's good. You got to say what you got to say, Graham. Nathan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'll go 5. It's not horrible, but it could be better.
And Steve?
6 for me, just in context of what they've produced within their range.
Yeah, yeah. All pretty in sync at this point of the podcast. I think we're all pretty much in line. Graham's a bit of a misery, but apart from that, we're all pretty much in line.
I tell you, with what's coming next, I'm going to get worse.
Yeah, there's some interesting ones to come. Sticking with Hull KR, we'll speed up a little bit because I'm aware how much time we're taking on these, and there is some crackers, as I say, to get into. The Red Robin alternate from Hull KR this year. Do you know what? I actually really like this. I think it's a good design. I think it's really, really strong. I like the idea behind it. Again, the 100 years of the Red Robin and all that kind of stuff. I genuinely would have had this probably. This would probably be about an 8 for me. I think if I'd not seen the England poppy kit, and that just ruined it for me. So whether they were designed at the same time, I don't know. They are just a little bit too alike for me, and they've been released a little bit too soon. I know it's a different design. I know this is feathers as opposed to poppies. I get it, but the color scheme and everything, it's just a bit too England kit for me. So I'll go straight in my rating about a 7. But I think it is still nice. It's just a little bit too close to England. Nathan, what do you think?
If you replace Hunterback with Sabora, this is an old school Salford shirt.
It's fair take.
Yeah, I think it's a 6 for me. It don't really inspire me. You don't look at it and think, "Oh, that's a stunning shirt." But again, there's a lot worse knocking about in Super League this year.
Yeah, totally. Steve, what do you think?
I take the point, and I made it as well. I think on socials around it being very similar to the England shirt. Having been involved in some of our shirts and kind of timescales, etc., my strong suspicion is that this design came first because of lead times and because of the volume that they'll have had to produce. These are, which will be much higher than the volume of you would assume of the England poppy shirt, and the fact that the Ashes series wasn't actually announced.
True,
Probably until way after the designs for this shirt had been being agreed, let alone the dates to know it'd fall around kind of Remembrance Sunday. So my gut reaction is this probably came first, but obviously the England one was released first, which probably isn't ideal. I'm not sure the feathers are strong enough in terms of standing out. You know, if you didn't know they were feathers, how long would it take you to work it out? I think maybe you either wouldn't, or it'd take you a really good look to see that feather design. I think maybe they could have made those feathers a little bit stronger, maybe put some of those in white. You know, you would maybe do 2 or 3 of them in white to kind of really make the point that these are feathers, and then the others could sit in the background in the different tones of red. So I think there's stuff that they could have done to make this design a little bit more obvious. But I don't really have an issue with it being like the England shirt, because ultimately I think it was probably designed first. Guess that's a little bit on Oxen. Would you want 2 designs that are so similar? One for a club, one for an international team. However, when you think about some of the other England shirts that have kind of become popular over time, you've got the Rockstrift one that looks very much like a Wigan shirt, and that seemed to be popular, etc. So I don't necessarily think it's a major issue, and it certainly won't stop all KR fans buying it, will it? Because it looks like an England shirt, but it might have stopped people buying the Poppy shirt.
Yeah, perhaps
once this was released, because it's now going to be a Hull KR design, because the England stuff doesn't quite have the kind of shelf life.
Yeah, totally. I think good points made there. And yeah, away from I'm not suggesting it's kind of copied or anything like that. It's just one of those things, but it just by bad chance, really. I think it just knocks it down ever so slightly for me. And I'm still going to give it a 7 because I think it's still a very, very smart shirt. Graham?
Yeah, I'd go 7 as well. I'll again, as I said with the home shirt, the Robins on the the bottom of the sleeve don't really do it for me. But the blue and white contrast on the collar and at the bottom of the sleeve, looks fine. I could actually see Harry Kane running out in that, to be fair, in World Cup. And
or even for Bayern, to be honest.
yeah, but with the blue and white, I could see Harry Kane running out in that at World Cup. But yeah, steady, 7 for me.
Does give a bit England away kit, doesn't it? Yeah, so 7 for me, 7 from Graham. Nathan?
Yeah, I think 6.5.
And Steve?
I think Graham's only give it a 7, so he's welcome at Hull KR away this season after slating last shirt.
He's got a 10 overall. I like it. Steve, what do you reckon?
It's probably 7.5 for me.
Nice. That brings us on to some of our nearest and dearest, the Leeds Rhinos and their home kits. It's an interesting one. It's a really, really interesting one, to say the least. I think Steve will lead off with this one. Yeah.
Okay,
Bias aside,
so
obviously.
I've always been a fan of this, what I'd call like the tire track design. I've always been a fan of it. Just like I've been a fan of a sash design. I like that as well, like the KR similar last year. So I like it in principle. It's just one of the designs that I think looks good on the field. I think it integrates well with this sponsor. So I don't know how much influence it's had, but I do like the fact that the sponsor is the same width as the kind of tire track down the middle. My issue is it's very similar to last year's Hull KR third, was it? Which was very similar to a PSG shirt. So I just wonder whether it takes away a little bit of the kind of newness of the design when you can look at it and say, actually, this is very similar. Hull KR had that tire track design last year. Is it too much of a replication? Admittedly, in these colours and with some slight changes, but is it a bit of a replication of what we saw at Hull KR last year?
Yeah, my first point was that. I think very first thing I thought when I saw it was like, oh, they thought they've got something. They reckon they've got something with this football design with Hull KR. Yeah, it's not for me really. But I'll go on to Graham first and foremost.
Really? It's not for me either. I after reading something on X, a couple of days ago, I decided to listen to a little bit about a little bit of the Lot Pod, and they slated us and said that the colours they're not traditional cast colours, because one of them said we're playing orange. Well, I've watched a lot more games than they have between them probably, and we don't play in orange and never have done for me. But this isn't a Leeds design. These aren't Leeds colours for me. Simple as it. I thought the one that's nearest to Leeds colours for me is the Cameron Smith testimonial shirt. It actually looks like Leeds colours, and I actually quite liked that what they've done with the V, just to make it a little bit different. So they won't be getting very high marks for me on this one, I'm afraid.
No, I can imagine. Shout out the Lot Pod. Hello, Eddie. You're right. Graham's made himself known. But yeah, I think for the very reason that they kind of trashed our kits a little bit. I think there's stones, glass houses, that kind of thing. Nathan, what do you think?
Just a bit bland, really. I think, like you say, when you think of a Leeds kit, you think of a bit of a lighter shade of blue and probably a more traditional yellowy colour. I think this is another one where if this is the shirt that they wear to run out to warm up in, sound cool, looks good. Yeah, it doesn't really do out for me. I mean, even if you put any other team's badge on it, it doesn't do out for me. But you stick a Leeds badge on it, and it's naff. But yeah, just a bit dull, really.
Yeah, I think it's one of those designs where if Leeds have a great year, they win a trophy, and it's something like that. It's something that could become one of their classic designs, maybe one day, or sort of variations of this. But it'd be very much reliant on what to do on the field at the minute. I think it's one of those that's, yeah, it doesn't do an awful lot for me. To be honest, I will go. I don't think it's terrible looking by any means. So I'm just going to go like 5.5. I think I can't go any higher than that. Steve?
6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Graham?
If you turn it 90 degrees, I'd give it a 6. But as it is, it reminds me of an old school Regal packet, that design. And so I'm giving it a 4. And that score was based on the shirt, not because I'd not heard the Lot Pod until after I'd judged just making that clear.
We know. And Nathan?
Yeah, 4.5. I just think there's a bit more they could have done, even if it's like a background pattern in a different shade of blue. Because at this point, it's just a dark navy and yellow, and that's it. Yeah, a bit bland.
Totally agree. That takes us on to the Leeds Rhinos alternate jersey. I think we'll pick up the pace a little bit now because we're just having fun, aren't we? We're having a good chat on these. We're getting some real good thoughts on these, but there's quite a lot to get through. My major takeaway on this, I know there's a story behind the actual design, but similar to what we discussed earlier, I forget which kit it was, potentially the whole KR one. There's been a few examples of it actually. I just think the colour they've used is really washed out. I don't mind the base, don't mind the black and the grey necessarily, but I think the actual yellowy colour is just a bit. I mean, when you compare it even to the yellow on the orange on the sponsor, it doesn't pop as much, and I just. Yeah, not for me really. This one. I mean, I'll go straight on my grade on this. I think this is probably a 4.5. It's just not a Leeds kit to me. Again, it doesn't really do an awful lot. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, again, I just think the black and grey are two similar colours. I just don't think you're going to see the design when it's out on the field or when people are wearing it unless you're really close. And again, you've got the block design on the block colour on the sleeves. So it kind of uses that design on the front and it's got the block on the sleeves. One or the other, I think, but maybe not a mix. So it doesn't do it for me. I'd be going kind of 5 for this.
Yeah, Graham?
As much as I dislike the home shirt, I dislike this one even more. I think we'll probably touch on it with another club as well. The teams that the home shirt's going to clash with are going to clash with that as well.
That's a fair point.
And sort of for me, it just doesn't do it. It's a 3 for me.
And Nathan, it's a fair point. Oh, you would say on Graham, though. I think, yeah, I mean, we'll get into it on the next kit as well. In terms of variation, there isn't any really between Leeds kits this year. It's quite interesting. Yeah, Nathan.
I was speaking to one of my mates yesterday, well, other day, who's a Leeds fan, and apparently the design's meant to mimic rhino skin. Which, if he hadn't said that, I wouldn't have guessed. He could be wrong, but that's what he said. I think the only thing that could kind of save it is if you turn the highlighter color into the same like black or grey that's also on the kit. It might look a little bit better if you kind of have a black and grey kit all over, and the sponsors, like the Rhinos badge, is the same grey. That's going to be the sleeve cuffs. That might save it a bit, but as it is, it's a four. It's just a poor kit.
Yeah, not a winner from us. Yeah, I'm not sure it's Rhino skin. I think I did read something to do with ink. I think it's to do with printing or something to do with journalism or some newspaper. I think, but yeah, it was pretty wishy-washy, the idea behind it. And I don't read a lot of the Leeds Rhinos website, I must admit. But yeah, not a great design from Leeds on this one, which brings us to the Vegas shirt, which I think is an absolute cardinal sin, personally. When they've gone so far away from, well, quite a distance away from their kind of traditional design for their home kit, it sort of made sense to me in a way because I was like, okay, Hull KR have said they're going to wear their traditional colours in Vegas. So I was like, okay, well, if Leeds are going to release a proper kind of blue and amber traditional design for Vegas because it's the perfect opportunity to kind of really represent their brand and show what Leeds Rhino because they are a huge club in terms of rugby league. Show what they're about on the big stage, particularly to the Australian audience and the Americans. I thought, yeah, that makes total sense. And then they come out with this, and I was like, oh, really? I was just really, yeah. It just feels like another kind of little cash grabby one. This one, to be honest, it's very much a one-off. I get you playing in America, but I love that Hull KR have gone to their traditional colours. I really, really do, and I think the fact they've gone for something like this, which is fine, and I'm sure they'll sell a few as a one-off, but I just think it's a bit of a missed opportunity for me. What do you think, Steve?
Yes, I agree in principle in the whole context of it, but as a design, I actually quite like it. So I do like the fact that they've produced something one-off, you would assume, for Vegas.
Mm.
I like the fact it's Americanized in some ways, but it does still have for me enough leads about it um, to kind of get away with going over and what they're trying to do, I think, is appeal to that American market rather
Yeah.
than put their brand out there. And I think I can see why they do that. I actually quite like it as a design. I like the fact it's got an American twist on it. Um, so yeah, I think I'm probably a little bit more okay with it as a one-off. I think it's possibly also it's my kind of shirt because it's only going to be worn once, right? There's always something about a shirt that's only ever
Yeah.
worn in one game that makes it a little bit collectible. So it probably appeals to my sense of kind of collecting. That if Cass wore a shirt, well, there we have. When Cass wear shirts and they're only worn in one game only, that's something I want. Um, so I wonder whether that's just influencing me a little bit positively because it is a one-off shirt.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense. Graham, what do you think?
It's all right. It's a like as Steve said, it's very Americanized. If they'd have wanted to maybe appeal to the Leeds fans, the red could have been done as an amber,
Mm.
just to contrast it in so it stays in their colours. But yeah, it's all right. I can understand why they've done it. Um, they will sell a fair few. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that's fair. Nathan?
I think if it's been done on the purpose of this is on sale in Las Vegas, Americans are going to buy it because it's red, white, and blue with stars and stripes. For me, though, it's very. I agree with you. It's very like cash grab. Vegas, the amount of stuff they're pumping out for
There's a
Vegas,
lot of t-shirts and stuff.
merch wise, there's about
Yeah.
8 or 9 t-shirts, there's caps, there's hats, there's bucket hats, there's jackets, there's baseball jackets. It's very commercially, if look if they're making money off it, fair play to them. But I just think this, again, it's going to be a one-off. Yes, the pandering to America, but it's just a bit. I don't know. The stars look very childlike to me. He looks like what a kids entertainer would wear if you take off the badge and the sponsors. Yeah, it's not great for me.
Yeah,
Give it like a three.
fair enough. Fair enough. I think, yeah, I think obviously my take on this is more kind of a theoretical thing as opposed to the actual design. I think the design's all right. It's what it is. He's doing the job for what they want. I just think yeah, it's probably just a bigger point on the sense that let's stop pandering a little bit. We've got a great sport, got great products, got a great brand. In fairness to Leeds, and it's just like I'm a big NFL fan. When they come over to London or Dublin, whatever it might be, they don't wear a special kit with Union Jacks all over it. I know we're on a different level, but actually we should think bigger, and we should think that we actually have got something to sell and something to be proud of. So, yeah, massively commend Hull KR for doing what they're doing, and yeah, I personally I wish Leeds had something blue and amber, but it is what it is. The design isn't awful. I'll give this another sort of. I'll give it a 5.5 because I don't hate the design, but I just think the principle of it's not great. Steve, very quickly, your mark out of 10.
Yeah, I'd go with a 6.
Graham
5.
and Nathan. Oh, you said 3, didn't you? Perfect stuff. Okay, prepare yourselves. Are we ready? Rightio. The Lee Leopards. The Lee Leopards made us wait actually for their kits this year. I'm sure that was definitely on purpose, although they were launching a brand. In fairness, you can just about see it if you really, really squint. The Debo Performance logo that's in there in the middle, the little dragonfly thing. The Lee Leopards home shirt for 2026. Graham, you get the
Oh,
privilege of
thank
going
you.
first on this one. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Where do I start? I heard on another podcast where there was a Lee fan on it who was, oh, it's fantastic. Derek's done a great job with this. No, he hadn't. He was smoking something really, really strong when he came up with this. Um, it's just, oh, no, I just, it's horrible. It is awful, and that's as much as I want to say on it, really.
Nathan, if you were a lather, is this?
I mean, it's not the biggest problem, but I don't like how the sponsors look. It just looks like someone's put stickers
I
on top.
agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
But I feel like that's not. It sort of looks like someone's gone into a school in Lee with a drawing of a shirt and said, "What do you think our own shirt should be?" And a 3-year-old's had a go, and Derek Beaumont's gone, "That's a beltable, make it." It's just, and I've seen a few people say about the Debo performance kits that some of them are nice. I don't think any of them are. I think the Widnes kit's busy for the sake of busy. I think the Salford shirt's a bit naff. It's just, it's almost like when they made that leopard print shirt, it's like Derek Beaumont thought he'd set a precedent that he needs to top every year to make a shirt a little bit more garish.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible for the sake of being horrible. And I've got some horrific football shirts. I've got a football shirt from Brunei, which is based on the old Bruised Banana Arsenal shirt. I've got a shirt from Ghana, which is like pink, purple, brown, blue, and yellow. So I don't mind horrible shirt, but this is a horrific shirt.
I,
Just awful.
the one thing I'll probably say is I think Jet 2 have probably got value for money. I think it looks poor, but I mean, it's certainly stand out. And
Looking at sponsor, I think the Jet2 sponsor on their own planes is smaller than that sponsor.
maybe so, maybe so. Steve, yeah,
I mean, they're just becoming known for it, aren't they?
yeah.
I mean, is it good branding? Is it? Are they appealing to their supporter base? And let's face it, whatever a Lee shirt looks like, I ain't buying it. Is it appealing to their fan base? Are they standing out as being different? You see enough of them wearing it, and it's really hard in sport, right? Because a lot of it depends on how the team performs on the
That's
field.
the thing, isn't it? Yeah, I
Right.
think it's hard to judge at the moment because I think they are obviously they're in probably the best period ever, aren't they? Let's be fair, over the last 3 years. So I think it would be interesting to see if they theoretically. I don't think they will for the record, but if they had a massive drop off this year, if they came 10th, if the wheels just fall off, Adrian Lamb gets sacked, the whole lot. The recruitment's terrible for 2027. The 10th have got nothing. I do wonder whether he'd wheel back a little bit. I do wonder whether he'd go, ooh, maybe not this year. Maybe not this year. I think they can pretty much get away with anything at the minute, and that's what he's going for. It's Derek Bowman all over, isn't it? It's attention. He's very good at getting attention. He got attention with this. Um, yeah, I don't think we could talk too much more about the design because there basically isn't any. Interestingly enough, as well, I did notice on the site when I grabbed this image, you can get it with a collar if you want, which I found hilarious. To be fair, I mean, it makes it slightly better, but I mean, it's technically marketed as a polo shirt, so it's still got all the sponsors on it, but same design. I mean, wear it golfing, I suppose, maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting one. It's a one from me because and the 1 point is because it's done what it served to do, essentially. Graham.
Yeah. Yeah, it just looks like people have just thrown paint at it, don't it? Let's face it. And it's it's a one. It's a one.
Nathan.
I'm going to be generous. I'll give it a 2 on the basis of someone committed to this shirt, and I'll commend them on it. But I think that's giving it 1.5 out of 2 is the fact that someone was brave enough to say this is a good idea.
Yeah, I'd love to chat with the designer. If the designer is not, in fact, Derek himself, which is a
I
real
would say
possibility.
just tweet Derek Beaumont and you speak into the designer.
Maybe so. Steve, your mark out of 10.
I'm going for a 2 just because the kind of leopard face. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I think it's a decent design feature. I mean, you're not going to see it as soon as players are wearing it and moving on the field, but I'll give it a 2 based on the fact that I quite like that leopard face kind of integrated in.
Yeah. Which brings us to the away kit. I think it might be better, but, I'm not sure. I mean, one thing I really don't understand is what they're doing with the badge. I think you keep the badge white. I don't understand why you've made the badge green to make it actually blend in with the jungle surroundings you've got, especially when you've got actually you can make out the Debo Performance logo just about in this because you put that white. You've made Jet 2 white. So why your actual brand image is not white in this, I've got no idea, to be honest. I don't think that would have made it any worse in any way if the badge was actually white. And I think it actually dilutes the kit by keeping it in that weird lime green colour. Yeah, it's a leopard tiptoeing through the jungle on a shirt. Are you gonna? I mean, is it going to blend in with the pitch? I mean, are you going to be able to see this? Green's always an interesting colour in itself. Steve, what do you reckon?
Yeah, and we had that. Warrington had that kind of dark,
Yeah.
similar green kid, didn't they? And that was an issue. I think it's worse. Yeah, just no. It's a 1.
Graham,
Can we score minus points?
you can do what you want, mate.
No,
You can do what you want.
I'm just scoring it a 0 because it's just yeah. I just again I mentioned in another podcast that they said it was very Stone Roses-esque. No,
Is it?
it's just no. It's just they're just both absolutely bloody awful, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Nathan.
Quite like the colours, as in the 2 colours that they've used. It's just busy for the sake of being busy. I don't know if you put the leopard more on the chest, does it look any better and get rid of the busyness? But is it just me or does everything look lower down as well? Like the badge looks like it's more actually over your nipple than on your chest, and the sponsor
Yeah,
looks
fair
more though it's
point.
like in the middle of your gut. Again, look, that's in the grand scheme of problems this shirt has, that's probably near the bottom. But yeah, I just think it's another one. They're just making kits to get a reaction online almost. It's like they forget that the team's got to go out and play 27 games in this. Well, not 27, but I mean like 14 games in this. It's like they forget that bit and they
Yeah.
focus more on this is going to be funny. But yeah, I think it's another 2 for me because I do quite like the colours. It's just poor design.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go up to a two. I actually think this is slightly better, but I mean we're in the dregs. We're in the absolute dregs at this point. It's yeah. I think a white actually keeping the white slash silverish logo would have made it a little bit better. Just to actually stand that out. I agree. It is weirdly low down. I'm not sure why that is. It's just crap. It's just crap. Let's be fair, and he's getting the attention he set out to do. Fair play to him, but it's not for me. It's not for me. That brings us to something. I mean, quite a juxtaposition here, I would say, to going from the Lee the Lee away kit, which is quite something, to the St Helens home shirt. Graham, I'll just let you lead off on this one. Obviously, this is one of those proper remakes this year. There's a couple of them knocking about. This is the St Helens edition. Obviously, you saw it up close, obviously on at the weekend as well. Yeah, what'd you make of it?
I don't mind it. I think like, it was one of them kits that you go back to a few years and you see that some of the Saints greats in it, and yeah, I don't mind it at all. It's just an updated, bit little bit slightly more modern version of that kit. Yeah, I think they've done a decent job on it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Nathan.
Can't make my mind up. I think there's part of me which thinks it's smart,
Mm,
and there's part of me which thinks it's a bit middle of the road. I think the sponsor, whilst the colours integrate, there's just something about it being a classic kit with home bargains on it, which kind of takes away. And the badge seems really, really big in comparison to the rest of the things on the shirt. And the O'Neill's doesn't seem to. I don't know whether it might just be me, but it don't look as though everything lines up with the hole that it's cut out in the chevron.
mm.
Yeah, I think it's smart enough. I think it's brilliant compared to the last two kits we've seen. Um, but yeah, I think it could be a bit better.
Yeah, I'll give my take next because I think I'm probably similar to Nathan. I think Steve's going to be very high on this one. As most of the rugby league community are, to be honest, I think most people have pretty much rated this the top in the league this year, the best of the shirts. I think the principle of it, I think it's 1996, presumably, of 30 years on since that first Super League season. Obviously, it's a pretty much remake of that. I believe they won the Challenge Cup in it. Makes total sense, harks back to those kind of players. This is the example Steve brought up of they announced this in the pub, essentially, didn't they? Kind of the nice kind of casual scene. You can absolutely imagine St Helens fans wearing this to the pub. It is absolute casual wear. I genuinely love retro. I think I love a lot of it. There's just, and I can't quite put my finger on why I don't think it's an absolute classic. It's close. There's just something about it, and I've said this before. I said this on a TikTok I did a few months ago, which my gradings are probably all different now because I've slept on it quite a bit since. There's just something that makes it feel a little bit cheapens to me, and I don't know why it is. It's just like a slightly. We've had some kind of remakes in the last few years from various merchandisers of kind of classic kits, and there's just something that isn't quite right. There's not quite the original, and you can't really put your finger on it, and it's very very hard to do. I'm not going to knock O'Neill's for this. I think it's a great effort, but there's just something not quite there for me. I still think it's very very good. I'm still going to go. I'm still probably going to go as high as an 8.5. I think it is that good, but I'm not going to go into 9 and 10 territory just yet. I just don't, I think it's just a little bit, just not quite there, but it is very very good. Steve.
Yeah, I would go for a 9. I really like it. I like the big badge. I like the collar design. I like the fact they've got a button at the top. It's retro. It's very much my era. Of design that I like, so I'm swayed by that as well. My only criticism is that home bargains is thicker than the stripe. Like
Yeah.
just narrow down that stripe so it matches the rest of the band across. Turn that light blue into white. It wouldn't make any difference to the design. And all of a sudden, that sponsor's really well integrated as well. So it kind of feels like they've just missed that last bit that would have made it
Mm.
spot on. But I'd still go for a 9 with this show.
Your grade, Graham?
Yeah, I'm going to put it up there with the Hull and Hull KR ones as a really strong 8.
Yeah. Yeah. Understandable. And Nathan.
Might want to sound really harsh with this. I'm going to go a 7. It's just too blocky
Mm,
for me.
fair enough. I
I get the
completely get why this won't be Toughness taste. Totally get it. Totally get it. Still generally a good grade across the three of us, or the four of us, should I say, for St Helens' home kit, which brings us to the away kit where they went very, very different. If you're going to go very, very classic retro 96 remake to something Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on this one, to be honest. It's another green kit, but they've gone with the kind of white slash cream, almost like ecru, I suppose, on the green. It's an interesting one, rather than obviously with the black that Lee have gone for. I think some people will really like this. I think it'll probably sell pretty well between Saints fans. I like the collar. I'll give them that. I like that the collar's a little bit different. I think that's quite a classic collar there. I don't mind it round the cuffs as well. But honestly, I think the rest is absolute garbage. I just don't like it. I just can't I can't quite get my head around it. I actually think it'd look better if they'd not centralized the badge, to be honest. I don't really get why the badge is centralized on this. I think if you put it just level with the O'Neills above the home bargains, I don't think it takes away from it at all. I think it actually improves it, if anything. I don't know why they've done that. Yeah, it's quite striking, but it's not for me, to be honest. Graham, what do you think?
It's all right, but it's again, it's one of them. As you said, I think it'll be pretty popular with fans because it is quite different. Um, and I agree with you about the collar. I think that looks tidy. The design, I think somebody's obviously said, look, we need to incorporate a V.
Yeah.
Like they could have done it with one. They could have
Mm.
just done a solid V, and I'd had a greater effect than all the sort of little triangle things that they've got on it. What my rating? I give it a 5.
Nathan, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I get your point about the badge. If that were left
Mm.
chest, probably looks a bit smarter. It just looks more like a football goalkeeper shirt than a rugby shirt.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think there's no need for the. I think you either need to go one or other. Do you go for the like arrows pointing downwards or the cross hatching bit? I don't get why they've got both. Um, yeah, it also looks a bit like a old Liverpool shirt, like the
Yeah.
Teely away shirt. So if that's the link, because they're from that neck of the woods. Yeah, like I say, I think 5 for me is just a bit of a nothing shirt.
Yeah, I think my rating would probably be a 4. I think they've got. I don't mind the colours really, but I think obviously the home bargains is quite jarring. But that's just uh, part and parcel St. Helens kits now. I don't personally like this really at all, but I think there's enough elements there to just make it a 4 because the effort's gone in, I suppose. Steve, what's your take and your grade on this?
I think it's pretty bad. I don't like the color, don't like the design, don't like the fact the badge is in the middle, don't like the sponsor. So jarring, with such little integration. So no, I can't see many redeeming features for this. And as you might have noticed, I do try to find something in kits, but for me, this just no. Um, I, I'd almost go as far as saying this is as bad as the Lee kits.
Oof, I get it.
Lee are branding themselves on having bad kits, and they're managing to maintain their brand consistently. This is a bad kit from a club that should be doing better.
Yeah, yeah. What number would you give it? Out of
One and a
interest.
half.
One and a
One and a
half.
half. Yeah, I really, really don't like it.
Understandable, understandable. Yeah, these are a team that are going to release a third kit because it's kind of blocked out on their site at the minute. I would have, they've had good kits in the past. I imagine they'll try and redeem themselves. I would imagine it'd be a darker kit, most likely. But yeah, they've got some working up to do, I think. Toulouse Olympique next. Don't have an away kit, just the home kit we've got from Toulouse so far, and just a few images of it. They've only actually released it in the last 4 or 5 days. I think they're currently very, very fine with the start of the year. Hummel returning to Super League. They had Wigan quite relatively recently. I think they made. Did they make England jerseys as well? I think they made England jerseys for a little bit. So Hummel back in the league. First and foremost, a slight rebrand from Toulouse Olympique, and I think the badge looks really smart. It's interesting they're going just for the kind of middle section with the TO on the badge and not using the crest that they've got, but I think actually both elements work really well. I think it's actually a really crisp rebrand from Toulouse, so fair play to them for that. Um, I think it's quite nice. To be honest, I don't have a big take on this one. I think it's just a Toulouse kit. It doesn't absolutely woo me, but I think it's pretty smart, to be honest. So I would probably go with I'd probably go with a 7. Actually, I think it's quite nice. I like the colours. I'd probably go with a 7 for this from Toulouse as a first effort back in Super League. Nathan, what do you think?
I'd go 7.5. I think it's really smart. I think it's simple without being dull, if that makes sense. I like there's a little bit going on the chest. Obviously, you've got the Hummel arrows on the shoulder and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I like that Toulouse for the most part. They always stick with that is their home colours, so that is the colours that they will wear. They don't waver too much from it. Um, but yeah, I think again, obviously I don't know how many you won't get many Toulouse fans in the UK, but that's a shirt where you might see it down the pub if that was an English team. If you know what I mean, like if
Yeah.
say if that were Cass's colours and that were a Cass kit with a Cass badge, that's something that you would wear down the pub. But I think it's smart and
Yeah.
simple. So yeah, it's a 7.5 for me.
Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, echo that really. Like the kind of flashes on the chest. I think that looks good. It's blue and white and no other color. I think when you look at shirts, if you can manage to get two colors, that always looks better than having three, four multiple colors on it. So I like the fact it's two colors. It's blue and white. Sponsor integration is decent. It's not too dominant. Yeah, 7.5, 8. I think it looks really tidy.
And Graham, on Toulouse?
Yeah, I echo what everybody's saying. I think it's simple but effective, and I think whilst we don't know what the away kit's going to be, if it was almost a reverse
Yeah.
white with a little bit of blue trim on it, then again it would look simple and effective. I'd go 7.5 on it, and yeah, and if it is what I think, what I'm saying as an away kit, I'd go 7.5 on that as well.
Yeah, totally. I'd potentially even up it for the away kit. I think if it is a reverse in white, because I think even like the sponsor on the right on the sort of left chest, for example, they don't have to have the box then. For example, if it is white, they can just kind of go straight on that. It's the one thing that maybe lets it down ever so slightly, but that's really nitpicky. So yeah, a really solid effort, and hopefully we get to see an away kit in the next week or two. Our nearest and dearest, the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. I'm still going to call them the Wildcats. It just makes me feel good. Um, Home kit from Wakefield. I think I said this on the TikTok reel I put out about a month or so ago. I thought their kits last year were really, really smart. Similar to what you said right at the top, Steve, but Elgren, I thought they did a really, really, really good job on Wakefield's kits last year. Coming back into the league, made a big splash. I could 100% understand why they sold in abundance. This is their second Super League effort. It's all right. I think it's all right. I don't. This is probably this is like a 6, maybe a 6.5 for me. Um, for one thing, it's essentially the same design as the Bradford away kit earlier, and Elgren, I see you. I see what you're doing there. They've added extra elements, don't get me wrong. There is the extra blue lines on the navy, but obviously the three stripes across the middle are pretty evidently from the Bradford kit. It's the same design there. And also, I think the navy on the blue doesn't really stand out very much when they're kind of in that three. Doesn't work too well for me. I just think it's fine. It's a nice enough shirt. I don't love the Prestons in gold. I think the Preston should be in white if possible. The Arrow Kitchens is fine. It's pretty inoffensive for me. I think I'll give it a 6.5. I think. Can't remember who I was going to go to first, so I'll go top of my screen. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, it's okay. Don't like the rip off Penrith again. Stop ripping off other clubs. I'm not keen on the collar. Don't think the collar looks quite right. So that puts me off it a little bit. But other than that, it's okay. Just stop copying Penrith, and have a nicer collar. 6.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not knocking this because it's a Wakefield kit either. Because, like I say, I think their standards have been quite high the last few years. I would say so. I think it's a little bit of a shame. I think it's a little bit of a step down from what they've had
Yeah.
previous. Graham, what do you think?
Yeah, like you say, they got it right last year, and I think they've got it wrong this year. I think there's just too many stripes or hoops or whatever they are in it. I don't think I just think for me, this you can they've got quite a sort of striking colour scheme of white, royal blue, and red, and I think they could have stuck to the three colours without introducing that fourth shade. and come up with a lot better than that, to be honest. I'm going 5.5.
Yeah, interesting. And Nathan.
It might just be the kind of the lighting in the photo, but the three bands across the chest just looks like a really randomly placed Holland flag. Um, which to me, again, it might
Yeah,
sound strange, but it looks more like it'd be like what you'd see for like a Dutch road cycling team than it does a rugby kit. Um, yeah, like I said, I think Wakey have had some really, really nice shirts over the last few years. I think one of the smartest was the home shirt in 2023, the white
mm,
with the red and blue bands around it, were a
yeah,
cracking shirt. But I just think they've missed the target with this one. It's busy for no reason without really doing a right lot. So I'd probably give it a 4.5, 5.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's a fair point as well. I think when I think Wakefield home kits, I actually think they look much better in white with the red and blue on top of the white. To be honest, generally when they're wearing that at home. The reason why they haven't gone white at home is because they've gone white for their away kit, and it gives me great joy to say that I think they've absolutely. Oh, it's a bad one. I think it's a bad one personally. This away kit, it's. I generally quite like purple in designs. Obviously, we've had some cracking purple designs over the years, and purple and white should work. Melbourne Storm been making it work for an awful long time. The gradients or kind of variants of purple down the sides, like it gives me like Dulux paint chart. Personally, it's just like shades of purple on there. It's almost like you're testing it on your wall. It's I think they've really missed the mark with this. I think it had the potential to be quite decent. I think if they really simplified it, the stuff up the side. I know, Stephen, I'll start with you again on this one. I know you really quite rightly disliked the casket a good number of years ago where we had like the kind of gradients of brown. It kind of almost gives me those vibes there again a little bit. I think generally if you're having kind of three or four shades of the same colour, you've got to get it right, and this does not get it right.
And not many people do, to be fair. I don't think there's many shirts that manage to get different shades of the same color right. No, this isn't for me either. And it to me it just looks a bit like dirty, that color. I don't get it. I don't really understand what they're trying to achieve here. If you'd have just gone purple at the top, white underneath,
Yeah,
spot on for an away kit, nice and simple. But I think they've just tried too hard to do something different, and it's just not come off.
yeah,
It's a
totally.
four.
Too many
I
elements.
kind of score it at a 4. I think Lee aside, because Elgren did make a couple of Lee kits, didn't they? But I'm going to assume that they were told what the design was.
Mm.
Um, this is the only Elgren shirt that I'm not sold on. I think this is the first one outside Lee shirts that I've looked at and gone, you've really missed the mark.
Yeah, I agree. I've not seen many weak Elgrins, and this is probably the weakest they've had in a good number of years. Yeah, I'm probably 3.5 with this. I really, really dislike it. Graham.
Generous 4. I think. Yeah, they've had one good season, and I think the Melbourne Storm, don't they? Let's face it. Um, yeah, and that's a big shout out to all my wakey mates that's listening. No, I just don't like it. I think they could have retained the white with red and blue and come up with something, all right. I just think it, yeah, nah, completely missed the mark with it.
Yeah, Nathan, what do you reckon?
I was going to make the joke of I don't think Wakey have seen a miss this bad since Don Fox. But it's just a nothing shirt,
One for the
really.
youngsters, that isn't
Yeah,
it?
Graham laughed. That'll do.
Even I'm
Um,
not old enough to remember that.
but yeah, I think like I said, if this shirt was white and on the ribs it was red and blue, really smart.
Yeah,
I don't get why they've gone. There is absolutely no need for them to go tinky winky purple. It,
yeah,
yeah, it's just a strange decision.
yeah, yeah. Not for me at all. Did you give a number or what's your mark out of 10?
Three, three
Yeah,
and a half.
yeah, all around that ballpark. I think that's about fair. That brings us to Wigan, who have gone in the wardrobe and found the 2020 kit and gone, we're going to stick tote on that, basically. Um, Yeah, this may as well be the kit they wore in the grand final against Saints, the famous Jack Wellsby try. That was that year, I believe. It surprised me a bit, this, to be honest. One, because they've done it so frequently after the last time. It's only been 5, 6 years. I thought they'd give it a lot more distance. Obviously, it's a classic design for them. It is a traditional design for them. I get it. And generally speaking, it is a decent design. They left it quite late, Wigan, as well. I think they were very close to Christmas, if not missed it. It was a week out, I think. It went really, really late, and I think they let down some of the fans a little bit on that. And I thought when they announced Tote as the bookmaker sponsor or the primary sponsor, the reason they'd left it so late is because they're waiting for the sponsor to go through, and then they were going to do something really good integrating the Tote sponsor because it's red and white, and then they just didn't. They just stuck a big sticker on it. Yeah, it's a design that is very Wigan, fair enough. It's not my favourite. I do prefer the more classic cherry and white hoops, but it's like a 6 for me, I think, and that's probably been quite generous just because it's a bit lazy. They've only just done it really a few years ago, and yeah, I'm imagining the tote sponsor must have come late, and there was almost maybe something else that was planned to be there because it just looks very stuck on. No, I'm probably going to go 5 actually. I'm gonna reduce it. I don't think it deserves that much. Um, Graham, what do you think to the Wiganers' effort?
I agree with you. It's a 5 for me as well. I think that, as you said, that it looks like Motrel Probies all over again.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Um, yeah, I just think somebody's thought, oh God, it's Christmas. We haven't got a cake yet. Let's just do something. It's just lazy. As you say, lazy. I just don't like it.
Yeah, Nathan, what do you reckon to Ancient and Loyal?
The sponsor's awful. It looks as though someone's tried to design it in Microsoft Paint and accidentally pressed fill all in the bottom on the left hip. I think it would it look a bit smarter if on like the right chest you've got those thin lines and then they're repeated again but a bit further. If that goes all the way down, that might look a bit better. But it's another one that looks like a training top rather than a plain shirt. So it's probably like a 5, 4.5.
Yeah, for a club that's got such an iconic design, I'm just amazed they've gone to it so quick again. Steve, what do you think?
Same word, lazy. But when you think around, we talked about the Toulouse kit being 2 colours. We've got yellow, blue, red, black, green, orange. It's too much. It's bitty. It's just badly, badly executed. Even if the design itself is actually, pretty okay,
Yeah,
how it's been put together and executed is a mess.
yeah. Out
Three,
of 10?
3.
3. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just the same kit. Like if you look at 2020, it's just the same kit with a total sponsor on it, stuck on. It's just a bit for a club of their magnitude. I think I expected a bit more. I think the fans expected a bit more from that. To be honest, this brings us to the away kit, the Rebel kit apparently, but I'm not lowering myself to putting Rebel on this slide. So it's called the away kit for me. Training shirt. To be honest, it's all right. It's fine. I guess if you kind of look at the design, I guess it's W's. I suppose maybe. So there's something in there. I guess it kind of goes like that. It's black. It's red. It's a bit of grey. Again, the smally decorated sponsor doesn't help it. The yellow sponsors don't help it. I sort of like the effort integrating the badge. I suppose making it black. But yeah, it just looks like the Tote playing shirt as opposed to the Wigan playing shirt, doesn't it? Really, it screams to me that the sponsor deal must have come pretty late in the day, and I'm thinking that they panicked a little bit. 5.5, maybe. I think it's marginally better. Maybe it's about 5.5. Graham,
Not much in it for me. I'll give it 4.5. I think if it's the rebel shirt, it's to coin a phrase, it's a rebel without a cause. It's just yeah, it's just nothing there for me. I think again, it's another lazy effort, I suppose.
yeah, yeah, totally. Nathan, grade and a little take.
I don't know what it's rebelling against. Like if it's rebelling against being a half decent rugby shirt, it's done a good job. Just the big red box for Tote makes no sense. Like I get that's Tote's logo, I get that, but if maybe that one then Tote were just in white, they got the writing looks a little bit better. But again, it's just another training top. Like I say, it's like they ran out of time to create a shirt, and they've gone to a club shop and grabbed the first two training tops they can find and said, "Let's use this."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
it's 4 or 5 at best.
An interesting point as well with it being tote is if you go on the Wigan website, obviously it's a betting company, which means they cannot have the sponsor on the junior jerseys. So the junior jerseys are without the sponsor. I'll go back to the home kit. So obviously, and literally, it's just the tote box just isn't there. So you just got a white box in the middle. Essentially, you just get empty space as well. So it's not even like that kind of. Although the tote looks awful on it, that doesn't even kind of recoup it really when you take the tote away. I mean, you make it look better because it's obviously just more plain. It doesn't look like there's something actively missing. If you get the one without the tote sponsor, but even so, it's just yeah, it's what it is. Steve.
I think it's actually got a decent underlying design, like that
Mm,
red and kind of grey on the black background. I actually think that underlying design could work, but you need to deal with the red block around the tote sponsor and the colours of all the other sponsors um, before you even start to make it look like a decent shirt.
yeah, 100%.
Four for me.
4 out of 10. For Wigan, Warrington, the home stretch now, just a couple more clubs to do. The Warrington Wolves, 150 years of the Warrington Wolves, so they've got a special badge on it. Not a huge fan of the special badge, if I'm honest, but I've got to say, I do think they've done a good effort here. I think they've gone very, very well. It's the most Warrington shirt you could ever find. It is very, very Warrington, and I've got a lot of time for that. Um, Genuinely, I think if Hoover was in white, I think it's a 10. I think it is that good. I think it's really, really, really strong. I ran these by my girlfriend last night actually, just to kind of get together a completely kind of non-rugby take on this. And this is the one she looked at and she went, "That's a nice rugby shirt." In the sense that you could take every logo off this and people would buy it. People would buy this as a kind of a, it's quite bold in terms of the colours. Don't be wrong, but people would buy this as a rugby shirt, as a if it was in cotton, for example. I think the design is spot on. The Hoover being in black makes it a 9.5 to me. I think I don't really know why they've done that. You might as well just made it white. I don't get why it's in black, but it's the best we've seen so far for me. Um, Nathan, do you want to go?
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think if that's a cotton shirt, it's almost like a proper old school, almost rugby union style
Yeah.
shirt. Um, if I'm being picky, I don't know if I really like where O'Neill's is placed, like right that far down. It then seems to push Hoover down, and yeah, but I'd probably say it's about an 8. It is a smart shirt, and coincidentally, these are the colours that I'd think of when thinking of a Leeds shirt. This is the blue and yellow I'd use, not the ones that they've used. But yeah, because it's got a Warrington badge, I'll be a bit more complimentary of it. It's just a smart top.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve?
Yep, they've done a good job. Again, I think we've all spotted why isn't the Hoover in white? To kind of integrate with the rest of the sponsorship. I'm a little bit dubious on the white collar. I'm not quite sure that that looks quite right. Um, I'm not quite sure if it should be blue. Maybe. I think it'll get dirty. If I'm thinking of a practical sense of it. But I'm just not sold on the white collar on that shirt. I wonder what it would look like if it was a blue collar, the same kind of shade of blue as they've got in the rest of the shirt. I wonder whether that would just be a little bit better.
Yeah, fair point. With the white collar, what's your mark out of 10?
Uh, 8.5.
8.5. Still very, very strong. And Graham, what do you
Yeah.
reckon?
I think it's the strongest of all the shirts that we've seen so far. But and I think, as everybody said, the Hoover bit just probably takes it down a little mark, just on the collar, because it's retro. And if this were a 1950s shirt and Brian Bevan were running around in it, it would have had a white collar.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's fair
I
point.
don't think that's any detriment to it. I think, if anything, it probably just sets everything off a little bit. I give it a 9. I think it's by far the best kit of anybody else's this season.
Yeah, it's an absolute cracker, I think. And fair play to Warrington for stand. Even though I don't think they've got Hoover quite right, and they've probably missed a slight chance there. I think fair play to standing them down because that used to be a big red circle,
Yeah.
and that would have absolutely ruined it. So fair play to going away from that. That takes us to the away kit. And I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm not particularly happy with AFC Bournemouth at the minute after what happened at the weekend. It's I actually really like it. I must admit, I actually really like it as a shirt. I think it's not something we usually see, obviously, in rugby league too much. The vertical stripes, obviously, we're very much horizontal, as we've just seen with the away kit, with the home kit, sorry. But I do respect the fact, 150 years Warrington have gone back. I believe these are the first colours that Warrington played in, and that's why they've gone for this for the away design. They have gone red and black before previously. Um, yeah, beyond the fact that it is very AFC Bournemouth, it's pretty strong for me. I still think it's pretty strong. Um, I'd give this an 8.5. I don't think it's quite as strong as the home kit. I actually flip flopped on that. I actually really like this one when it first came out. The more I've looked at the home kit, the more I think it's an absolute classic. I'm going to go by 8.5 on this. I think it's pretty strong. And they've made the Hoover actually stand out on this, which I actually don't think degrades it by any point. I think it actually improves it. The fact that the Hoovers like it is to the point where I actually think the O'Neills and the other sponsors could have been white, to be fair, and I think it'd have worked just fine. Um, but yeah, 8.5 from me. Steve.
Yep, quick relocation there. Sorry, kids just
No
flew in.
problem.
So yeah, I will go with 8 to 8.5 for this one. I think O'Neill's and Warrington have done a really good job on both of their shirts. I think apart from one club, I think if you look at the home and the away, they've got the best pair of home and away shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's classic. I really like it. It's simple. There's nothing pretentious about it. I'm not convinced about the black sleeves. I don't know what I do but they look a bit blocky compared to the rest of the shirt. Maybe they need some red around the cuffs, just to kind of draw that colour into the sleeve as well. But yeah, I think it's really nice, and I think they've produced a really good pair of home and away shirts.
Cool. Out of 10?
8.
8. Graham, out of 10 in a couple of words?
6.5. I'm not a big fan of stripes on vertical stripes on a rugby league shirt.
Fair enough.
But that's personal. But I don't think they've done a bad job. And when I were looking at these, a couple of days ago, just sort of scribbling some notes down. First thing I put were AFC Bournemouth.
Yeah.
But I think they've done a decent job. It'll be popular with their fans, I'm sure. Red and black, yeah, red, black, and white. I'll just think of certain football team as well, which I don't like.
Can't think of that big. Nathan, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I really like red and black kits, mainly because I grew up playing for Garforth Tigers, who play in red and black. So I'll always like a shirt in those colours. But again, it's simple enough. Like I said, I think maybe O'Neill's could be in white, and maybe some of the other sponsors could be in white just to match up with the Hoover. But I just think it's simple and smart. So another 8 for me.
Yeah, pretty good effort from O'Neill's and Warrington. As I say, I think as a pair, they've done very, very well. Brings us toward the last newcomer and the final club outside of Cass, York Knights. I'm actually not sure who's manufactured this. I don't know if it's in-house. I don't recognise the logo. I'm not sure who it is at all. It came quite late as well. It's only been announced a couple of weeks. But York have gone with a very kind of classic York design. I personally really like this. I actually really like the black and amber horizontal hoops. I actually like it as a cast kit, to be honest. I actually like it as a cast design, and it's something I'd like to see. Obviously, we've had some good versions of that over the years, but yeah, York have obviously had it for a long time as well. Um, yeah, really solid. I think it's a really nice York kit. Yeah, I'm probably going to throw a 7.5 at it. I think it's strong. It doesn't absolutely blow me away, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it kind of introduces York to the league in the best way. I think they've got. You don't want to go too crazy. I think with your first one back, your first one in Super League, full stop. Um, so yeah, I'm going to go 7.5. Might even be a little bit harsh. That I don't know, but I also really like the branding. I got to say as well. I think the logo with what they do with the Valkyrie as well is very, very good. But yeah, 7.5 for me for the York Knights. Graham, what do you think?
I've got it as an 8. I like it. It looks like a rugby shirt. I think it's Colour combination, obviously we're a little bit biased, but because it does look well and it does contrast. Yeah, I like it. As I said, give it an 8.
Yeah. Nathan?
8.5. I think the only thing that I kind of don't like is the piping on like the inner arms and the sides. I think if it were just black and amber as it is, I think it's a cracking shirt. But yeah, it's probably, if I had to buy a shirt that wasn't a cash shirt, it'd be between this and Toulouse so far for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, but 8.5.
Yeah, totally agree. Steve, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think they're doing right by having a kind of really traditional York shirt for the first year they're back in. Well, they're in Super League. I'm not quite sure whether that main sponsor would be better in the band above.
Yeah, it's a little
It's
bit low
low.
down, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
low. I'd maybe put it in the band above and put it in black. So that's a little bit low. And I'm going to be really picky, and it's really pedantic, but it's a thing that really kind of irks me. What is with that full stop in the middle of the sentence underneath their sponsor? Like, there seems to be this kind of thing this year of having like some sort of slogan or tagline or sentence or whatever, as well as like the brand name. And I just don't get it, really. It's never happened before. We've never had these kind of bylines underneath sponsors before, and I'm not quite sure where it's coming from. But this one doesn't even make sense. So if you're going to put writing on it, punctuate it properly, please.
Yeah, totally agree. So did you give a grade out of 10 for that? I forget.
7.
Seven. The problem comes here, I think, really. I think the problem comes here with the away kit. It's the same one, but they've just done colour fill on certain elements of it. But by itself, I think it's an all right kit. I think it's probably slightly worse than the home one. But I mean, they could have released this as the home kit, frankly, and I'd have gone, that's all right. To be honest, I'd have probably said that's a 7 at least. I think it's solid. The fact that they've released this and the home kit was a problem for one thing. It's a genuine problem, I think, in terms of colour clashes potentially. With us more than anything. But yeah, we said the lazy word a couple of times, and I think this is one. It does make me wonder. They were very, very late in the day with this releasing this York, and yeah, I mean, I get it might take a little bit of time to design the first one. I think they've done a really good job with it. This took no time at all, did it? Because it's basically the same kit with extra white on it. I'm just gonna downgrade it for that. I don't think it's bad, but I'm gonna go 6.5 purely on the basis that I just don't think you can go this close to the home kit. I just don't think you can do it. Graham, what do you think?
Exactly the same. As a standalone shirt, I think it's really smart. But there's not enough contrast with the home shirt to this to avoid the clashes. As I said with the Leeds one, I'd be wrong not to say this with that as well. Give it a 7 and a slightly not quite as nice as the home one, but as a standalone shirt, it's tidy.
Yeah, totally. I'd have actually really liked them to go with just a one-off, with it being their first year in the Super League, obviously celebrating their club's history. I'd have actually liked to see a blue kit, because obviously they were blue and with the black for a good number of years. I know they got away from that brand and stuff, but maybe even something like that. Give me some kind of contrast, and at least that will kind of celebrate the, granted, not a huge history of the club, but it's still 25 years, whatever it is. I think I'd have liked to see something like that rather than just a copy and paste job. Nathan, what do you think?
If it was white and replaced the black with the amber, I think it'd look a lot smarter. Like I say, it's just they've used colour fill on Microsoft Paint on the amber bits with white and handed it in, and no one notices the difference. But like I say, if the home kit wasn't a thing, this is a great shirt. The home kit is a thing. It's not great. Probably like a 7, I'd say.
Yeah, and Steve?
Yeah, everything that people have said, really. In principle, I don't mind when clubs just flip over the colours on between home and away. We did it in 2014, and those two shirts were great. But it just doesn't work for these. So no, it's not for me. And to have one of that top section randomly still in that colour, it just seems a bit weird. So no, I think they needed to go a bit different, even if they'd have just gone one block colour and just had a one block colour shirt for their away shirt that contrasted with their black and amber. I think that would have been better than flipping. Well, almost flipping in this case. So no, it's not for me. 6.
Yeah, I think looking at it just needed more white. I think if you just go sleeves and the collar, maybe you whack them in white. I don't know if that'd look fantastic, but at least it'd have that contrast. I think you need it. All right, taking us home then. Taking us home with the Cast Tigers, our home kit for 2026. And I will lead off with Nathan. I'm expecting tens across the board for all three kits, obviously, because we're a Cast of Tigers podcast. But no, honest opinions. Home kit, Cast 2026. What do you think?
Really smart. I'll give it an 8.5. I think it's simple enough, but not boring. It's obviously got the names in it, which is a good nod. I know people have had the say on some of the names that are on the kit and who they think should be on it, but I feel like if everyone has their own opinion, there's going to be 4,500 names on the shirt.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think you could sort of tell from the reaction of fans when the shirt hit that it's been a long time since I've seen people so unanimously in favour of a shirt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 8.5.
Steve?
So I'm a little bit less generous towards this one. And I think I said it at the time. For me, it's a bit too plain, and you can't avoid that if you're going to sublimate names essentially into a shirt. You have to have a one color shirt essentially so that the names can be sublimated. Seen a couple of clubs do it with two colors. Hull FC have done it a couple of times, black and white, but for me, it just doesn't have enough design to it. For what I like to see in a rugby shirt. I love the colour. Think they've got the colour absolutely bang on. Love the collar. But for me, it just doesn't quite have enough design to it. I'd kind of go with a 7.
Yeah, understandable. And Graham, what's your thoughts on it?
I'm scoring it a 9. I absolutely love it. It takes me back to being a kid. When I first started watching Cass in the early 70s, it were amber shirt, black collar and cuffs. We then went into Adidas, and that first couple of seasons we Adidas, it was a really yellowy one, and then it went back to a more amber, a brighter colour, and then that's around that. It was when we went to Adidas that we moved to black shorts with it, and the black shorts set it off better. I love it. I'm also biased because my great uncle's on the shirt as well. So yeah,
Which is cool.
a big fat 9.
Very cool factors to that. I'm probably going to go 8.5. I think I do really like it. I think actually of the three, I'm going to end up with all three. Don't get me wrong, I will be buying them all at some point. But I've been kind of to and throwing about which one I get for the first game. But I think it will be this one. I think it's a little bit more wearable generally. I think it's the collar that sways it for me. I think obviously the plain shirt is a slightly different kettle of fish. Obviously we don't have the collar on there. I think it does reduce it a little bit on the plain shirt, to be honest. But I think the collar's excellent. I like the thick black band on the cuffs. I think it. Yeah, I think it does a real good job. I think it does a real good job. Obviously, setting the rebound alight as well for 2026. I think it kind of contributes well to that. Um, it's two colours, as you mentioned earlier, Steve. I think, which is always a win. So I'm going to go 8.5. It's not my favourite of the three, but it is probably it's weird. It's not my favourite of the three, but it's probably the one I'm going to buy first. If that makes any sense at all, I'm going to 8.5 for this one. My favourite is this one, and I will be buying it at some point, and I will have it. That is for sure. Although it's not actually probably the design we wore the most in our history, in fact, far from it. It is the cast kit, isn't it? Really, I think for like kind of the outsiders looking in, but certainly, unless you're ready from the lot pod, of course, we wear orange all the time. This is very much the cast kit due to the history of it, due to 69, due to 70. It had to be this. It had to be this for the centenary year. And I'll lead off with the mark out of 10. If CBR could have just thought about that white line. I don't think, to be honest, the more I've looked at it, the more it doesn't offend me at all. To be honest, I can live with it. It's absolutely fine. If that white line wasn't there, and I get why it is, it's part of the logo. I understand. It's a 10, or as close to 10 as it could ever be. I'll go 9.5 on the basis that it is there. But generally speaking, it's a win. It's a triumph, really. It couldn't be any other kit in the centenary year. Nathan, you concur?
Yeah, I think. Look, I'll kind of foreshadow what I'm about to say next. I don't think we've got a bad shirt. I hope my mate who's decided that I'm going to be his best man for his wedding isn't listening, because he thinks he's going to be wearing a casket for his stag do, and I've said I'm not wasting any of these three shirts on him. because he's a Leeds fan, and I think we've got 3 belting shirts.
Can't dirty the
Uh,
shirts. You can't do that. No.
but like I said, the white line maybe takes a little bit off it, but I think overall the sponsor integration
Yeah.
is good. I just hope it's a winning side that plays in that kit because it's a kit that deserves a winning team. So it's a 9 for me.
Steve?
Yeah, yeah. Again, you both mentioned the white line. I also just, if I'm being really picky, just lower that CBR sponsorship slightly. I'm not so sure that tiny bit of the chevron poking out at the bottom
Yeah.
is great. I think maybe I'd just lower that CBR so that that CBR sponsorship was bang on the bottom of the chevron. But I mean, it's a classic kit, isn't it? It's as you say, it couldn't be any other. And fingers crossed if we make a cup final, it's what we end up wearing. So I'd go with a 9 for this.
100%. We don't lose in that design. Graham, what do you reckon?
I'm going full house at 10. I absolutely love it. It's the best kit we've had since 2014 away, the white winning then. Yeah, I absolutely love it. As you've said, it's iconic. You think about, you see the white shirt with the black and amber V, you think Malcolm Reilly, Alan Hardesty, Keith Epworth, and so on. Let's hope that in a few years' time, people are looking at that and thinking Blake Taft, Tom Weaver, Reno Fatone, because they've been and won something in it. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's my favourite shirt.
Well said. Well said. And that brings us to the final kit of the podcast and Cass's final kit of this year, I think. I don't know if there's any more than the 3. There might be a 4th. Who knows? But what we know of is the 3, and we've got the Centenary kit, which I've been a little bit to and fro with this, I've been a little bit to and fro with it. I think it's good. I think it's very, very good. I agree with Nathan. I think we've got 3 very good kits this year. I think Warrington have done very well with their 2. It'd be interesting to see if they've got a 3rd kit to match. I think across the 3, I don't think there's any side who's got 3 kits as good as us. I think we're way above the other teams that have got 3. Um, it's like an 8 for me. I think it's an 8. I think it's really good. I think black and gold generally looks really good. I think the only thing I've got on this is the more I really liked the idea of the black and gold originally. I sort of just wish it was amber, to be honest. I sort of just wish it was black and amber, and I'd have been cool with that. Particularly with the rebrand and everything kind of going to the amber color, which I know is going pretty into the nitty gritty of it. I think the gold could have been more of the amber color, be honest, and that might have elevated it even more for me. But generally speaking, the design is superb. Obviously, it's 86. It's everything we're about. It makes total sense. Gold in Centenary year also makes sense. Don't get me wrong. It's just interesting. We've done it with the rebrand, I suppose, in one fell swoop. Yeah, it's a really, really nice kit. I'll probably own it at some point. I'll almost certainly own it in the next couple of months. Um, yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. Nathan?
This is my 10. I think it's the shirt that when it dropped and the photos went out on Twitter, I think I audibly said, "Ooh, you beauty." Um, like I said, I don't know what it is about it. I think it's maybe is the black and gold on it that just stands out. If it were amber, I don't know if I would score it a 10. I just think the fact that everything is in the same colours, the men's distribution, the Ox and the CBR engineering, it is all the ergo on the sleeve. There's nothing where it's like the CBR's blue and yellow as it is, and men's is white. Everything's the same 2 colours. It's just a really slick, smart shirt.
Mm.
And again, it seems what I said for the last one. It don't deserve a losing team. It's a kit that deserves a side that's tonking sides based on how it looks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other point of me making this an 8 is I think any other year I'm absolutely making this a 10. I think that's the other thing as well. I think it's because it's comparable to 2 other absolute bangers. It's like it's maybe reduced it in my mind a little bit, and that's why I'm getting nitpicky. If this had come out at any point in the last 10 years, I'd be shouting from the rooftops, I think. So yeah, I totally agree. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, this is my favorite. This is my 9.5. So highest score for this one. I love the black and gold. I think it's brilliant. And it could have been black and amber, I guess, but you could do that any year. You can do that in
Yeah,
5
true.
years' time, but you can't do this again. You've got a one-off opportunity on a centenary year to use black and gold. You can't just throw it in there for no reason one year. And I think it's just been done really, really well. All the sponsors are integrated. My 0.5 why it's not a 10 is I think maybe that sponsor's a little bit big. The CBR engineering sponsor's a bit bigger than it maybe should be. So that's the only reason I wouldn't go for 10. But yeah, absolutely love it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And do you know what? Fair play. I think you're probably right on CBR, but I would say as well from the previous quite a few years now, fair play to CBR. I know obviously he's on the pod of the club, which obviously helps, but fair play to really committing to sponsor integration over the last few years as well. Because I
Absolutely.
think we had a few kits early doors where it just didn't quite work. Did it with the yellow, with the amber and the blue on it against the orange, especially. It really just didn't work at times. Yeah, really good effort the last few years just to kind of lose that and just really commit to making the kit work with the sponsor. So fair play to CBR Engineering. And Graham, take us home. Final grade and final few words.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 as well. I think you, as I've said on numerous occasions, in each other's company, I'm a big believer in club colours, and I can see it working in black with an amber, but I'll accept it because it is the centenary, and gold just fits that. I absolutely love it. I do love it. I know everybody's sort of talking. Yeah, I'm going to get one, probably end up with all three. I did. I have done. I got the orange. I've dropped on well. My other half bought me that. My other half bought me that for my birthday, and my son bought me the white one for Christmas. So I was spoilt for choice. Yeah, I think we've absolutely nailed it with all three shirts this year, and and each one of them as a standalone would have been a high scoring shirt.
Yeah.
But the fact that we've got all three like this, it's just like, oh come on, just take my money.
Well said, Graham. Well said indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, you three. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute marathon of a podcast. I didn't realize how long this was going to take to get through all 30. But here we are now. If you're still watching, if you're still listening, good effort. I'm sure it's taking you a few goes to get through it. But I hope it's been enjoyable. I've really enjoyed that. Yeah, great takes from all. I've enjoyed Graham's low scores at times. I've enjoyed all the takes on Lee. And it's great to finish off with three absolutely banging caskets this year. And yeah, as we said, hopefully winning teams in those three kits as well will be lovely to see. It'd be nice to see some victories in those jerseys because boy, they deserve it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening if you're on Spotify. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I'll be back next week with an episode, but in a few weeks' time, before the start of the season, we will reconvene us four, and we'll actually get to the nitty gritty of it, and we'll give our predictions for Super League in 2026, and that will be an interesting chat because I haven't got a clue, to be honest. I've got quite a lot to figure out in the next couple of weeks because there's an awful lot of variables. Thank you ever so much. See you later. Coif.